The world is a terrifying, unforgiving place when you are smaller than the predators around you, where every shadow hides a threat and your only real defense is hiding or running for your life. In this video, you'll endure the brutal life of 15 animals, starting with the first one, the honey badger. You're born underground, in a burrow your mom didn't bother digging herself. The first thing you hear is your own squeaking, which doesn't exactly sound intimidating, but don't worry, you'll grow into your attitude soon enough. For now, you're blind, bald, and hungry, with no idea how much of a headache the world is about to become for you, or how much of a headache you'll become for the world. Mom, for her part, doesn't have time for soft moments. She's busy warding off anything that thinks this burrow looks inviting. You're too small to notice her snarling at predators twice her size, but if you could, you'd probably take notes. At this stage, life is simple. You eat, sleep, and occasionally try to bite your mom's tail when she's not looking. It's not a bad setup, but in a few months, things are going to change. By the time you're a few months old, you're starting to tag along with Mom on her daily rounds. She doesn't explain what's happening, you're expected to figure it out on your own. Your first lesson? Bees. Lots of bees. She leads you to a hive and starts ripping it apart like she's owed money. You hang back, mostly because the noise is terrifying, but also because the bees look mad. They swarm her, stinging her face, her paws, her everything, but she doesn't flinch. Why? Because she knows what's inside. Honey and bee larvae. That's the good stuff. Eventually, she grunts at you, which is the honey badger equivalent of saying, "Your turn." You edge closer, swipe at the hive, and immediately regret your life choices when a bee stings your nose. You yelp, fall over, and scramble back. Mom doesn't help. She just keeps eating, like this is all part of the process. And maybe it is. Over time, you get the hang of it. By get the hang of it, I mean you stop crying when the bees sting you and start focusing on the reward. It's not exactly fun, but it's effective. You're learning one of the most important rules of honey badger life. Pain is temporary. Snacks are forever. By 6 months, you're starting to venture out on your own. Mom still keeps an eye on you, but she's giving you more space to make mistakes. And mistakes, it turns out, are plentiful. Your first attempt at hunting is laughable. You spot a scorpion and decide it looks slow enough to catch. It isn't. It dodges, stings you on the paw, and scuttles away while you roll around in frustration. The sting doesn't kill you. Honey badgers are famously hard to poison, but it stings enough to make you rethink your approach. Your second attempt is slightly better. This time you go for a lizard sunbathing on a rock. You crouch, wait, and then pounce. The lizard darts away, but you manage to grab its tail. It thrashes, you thrash harder, and somehow, you end up with your first successful kill. It's not much, but it's enough to make you feel invincible. Spoiler, you're not. At about a year old, Mom decides she's done babysitting. One day, she's just gone, leaving you standing in the middle of the savannah with no backup plan. Welcome to independence. Your first solo days are a mix of wins and disasters. You've learned how to scavenge, so you manage to scrape together meals here and there. Small mammals, eggs, and the occasional insect. But you've also learned the hard way that not every fight is worth picking. A particularly bad run-in with a porcupine leaves you limping for days, your pride as bruised as your paw. Slowly, though, you find your rhythm. You stop charging at everything that moves and start figuring out which prey is worth the effort. Scorpions? Sure. Snakes? Absolutely. They're full of protein and, more importantly, don't scare you. Venom? You laugh at venom. Well, not laugh exactly, but you shrug it off like it's a mild inconvenience. One cobra bite later, and you're snoozing under a tree, letting your immune system handle the details. By 2 years old, you've built a reputation that even the savannah's big players respect. You're not exactly a heavyweight. Most predators outweigh you 10 times over, but what you lack in size, you more than make up for in attitude. Lions, leopards, hyenas, they've all learned one important lesson. Messing with you isn't worth the headache. You might not win every fight, but you don't fight to win. You fight to make it unbearable for everyone involved. Take that time you stumbled upon a leopard guarding a fresh kill. Any sensible animal would have walked away. After all, leopards don't share. You, however, looked at the leopard, then looked at the kill, and decided it was your turn. The leopard growled, low and menacing, like it was daring you to take one step closer. So you did. Then it snarled and lunged forward. You lunged back straight at its face. For a moment it was a game of chicken, except with claws and teeth. The leopard, clearly unamused, took a swipe at you. You dodged and responded with a full-on charge. It hesitated, probably running a quick risk assessment. You were smaller, sure, but the sheer audacity was clearly giving it second thoughts. Finally, it sighed, or something close to it, and slinked off into the bushes, leaving you victorious. You dragged the carcass away like this had been the plan all along. But it's not just the big predators you have to deal with. Sometimes it's a pack of wild dogs sniffing around your dinner, or a cheeky jackal thinking it can sneak past you unnoticed. You don't discriminate when it comes to picking fights, big or small. If something crosses your path and looks like it might be a problem, you're going to make sure it regrets the decision. For most animals, survival is about avoiding conflict. For you, it's about doubling down until everyone else gives up. Not because you're stronger, but because you've decided you are. Confidence, it seems, is half the battle. By 3 years old, you're ready for a place of your own. The problem is, space doesn't come easy. Every decent patch of land is already taken, so finding territory isn't about location, it's about negotiation. And by negotiation, I mean biting, growling, and generally causing a scene until someone backs down. Your first attempt doesn't go well. You wander into what looks like unclaimed land, only to realize it belongs to an older honey badger who isn't thrilled to see you. There's no warning growl, just a blur of claws and teeth as it lunges at you. The fight is quick, brutal, and ends with you limping away, slightly wiser, but no less determined. It's fine, you didn't want that patch of land anyway. Eventually, you find a spot that's just right, enough cover to hide, plenty of prey nearby, and a water source within reach. Unfortunately, it's not unoccupied. A jackal seems to have laid claim, but unlike the honey badger, it's not as interested in fighting. You chase it off with a snarl and a half-hearted charge, and just like that, you've got yourself a new home. Territorial life is straightforward. You patrol the boundaries, sniffing around for intruders and marking your space as you go. If something crosses the line, a curious mongoose, a wandering fox, you handle it swiftly. Most animals get the message after one encounter. The few that don't, well, you're happy to remind them. The routine isn't glamorous, but it works. You're hunting, sleeping, and occasionally causing trouble, which is about as close to domestic life as a honey badger gets. By the time you're 5, you've got this whole honey badger thing down to a science. You've built up enough scars to tell 100 stories, though you'd never bother to share them because bragging isn't your style. Your territory is secure, your hunting skills are sharp, and most predators know better than to test you. Life is steady, predictable, even comfortable. Hunting becomes less about survival and more about efficiency. You've learned how to conserve energy, which means waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. A fat rabbit, a slow bird, or even an unguarded snake's nest can keep you fed for days. Once you've eaten, you retreat to your den for a nap, where you'll stay until hunger drags you back out. It's a simple life, but it suits you. Still, time catches up with everyone. By 8 or 9, you're not as quick as you used to be. The fights you once charged into with reckless abandon now leave you aching for days. You avoid confrontations when you can, though not because you're afraid. It's just that you've earned the right to pick your battles, and wasting energy on every challenge isn't worth it anymore. One day, a younger honey badger wanders into your territory, clearly looking for a fight. You size it up, remembering when you were the one with something to prove. The scuffle that follows is rougher than you'd like, but you manage to send the intruder packing this time. As you watch it retreat, you know it won't be long before someone else comes along, and eventually, they'll win. That's just how it goes. The end, when it comes, is quiet. You've spent years fighting, hunting, and carving out your place in the world, but now you're tired. You find a shaded spot under a tree, curl up, and let the savannah carry on without you. There's no fanfare, no grand exit, just a quiet moment of peace. Somewhere out there, another honey badger is starting its own journey. Maybe it's biting its mom's tail for the first time, or maybe it's charging headfirst at something much bigger than itself. It doesn't matter. The cycle continues, just as it always has. You didn't leave a legacy. You didn't need to. For the years you were here, you lived exactly as a honey badger should. Stubborn, fearless, and utterly unstoppable. And that's more than enough. That was the honey badger. Next is the platypus. You hatch completely blind and hairless in a muddy riverbank burrow, solely reliant on drinking milk sweated through your mother's skin while dodging venomous snakes and predatory birds. Congratulations, you're an egg. A mammal in an egg, because apparently evolution couldn't make up its mind. You're stuck in this hard shell for about 10 days, packed into a damp burrow your mom slapped together at the edge of a creek. No sunlight, no fresh air, just the earthy smell of mud and whatever fungi are growing nearby. Your mom, who is somehow both a mammal and a discount duck, runs around, occasionally checking on you and your siblings. Not to, interact with you, but to make sure you're not eaten by a snake or squished under her own weight. When you finally hatch, you're greeted by the grand reveal of your own body, blind, bald, and floppy. You look like a jelly bean that's been microwaved just a little too long. You can't see, you can't walk, and your fur, if you can call it that, is so non-existent you might as well be a wet noodle. This is your life now. Better get used to it. You're hungry, but don't get excited. It's not like mom has a nice bottle of milk ready to go. No, platypus mom skipped the whole nipples memo. Instead, the milk leaks straight out of her skin. It just kind of seeps out like an old sponge, and you're supposed to lap it up as it pools on her fur. Delicious. Your days are all the same. You sit in the dark, occasionally latching onto mom's fur for another hit of skin milk. You're slimy and useless, more blob than baby, and evolution seems to have no immediate plans to improve your situation. Weeks go by, and the most exciting thing that happens is growing fur. Even that's a slow process. You don't even get to feel proud about it. It's just fur. Everyone else in the animal kingdom already has it. And the best part? There's no one to commiserate with. You're crammed into this burrow with your siblings who are just as bald and clueless as you are, and there's no playtime, no bonding. You're all too busy doing the one thing you know how to do, not die. And trust me, With the amount of things trying to eat you out there, even that's a stretch. Eventually, your mom decides you're ready for the outside world. She doesn't ask, she doesn't explain, she just shoves you out of the burrow. You waddle down to the water, mostly because gravity makes the choice for you, and then, splash, you're in. You immediately discover swimming isn't the graceful, intuitive skill nature documentaries make it out to be. You try to paddle, you sink, you panic, you swallow water, you bob back up like a soggy sponge only to get dragged by the current. You paddle harder, still sinking, still panicking. Your mom, she's already swimming away. Thanks for the pep talk. Once you stop flailing long enough to figure out how your webbed feet work, you manage a kind of pathetic doggy paddle. Unfortunately, it's at this moment you realize the water isn't safe. Birds circle overhead. Snakes slither near the shore. Everything with teeth seems to have spotted you. You dive into the mud because what else are you going to do? Fight? No. You sit there submerged in a soup of muck, hoping they lose interest. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Either way, you stay in the mud until the danger passes, or until you remember you can't breathe underwater. Then you paddle off, looking like a half-drowned leaf. You're hungry, so you hunt. Except hunting, as a platypus, is less dramatic chase through the wild, and more stick your face in the mud and hope for the best. You use your bill, which is basically a high-tech gadget slapped onto your face, to detect electrical signals from worms, shrimp, and other tiny creatures squirming in the muck. This sounds impressive until you realize what it actually involves. Sticking your head underwater, feeling around blindly, and hoping something wriggly ends up in your mouth. Sometimes you find a worm, sometimes you find a rock. Yes, a rock. You don't spit it out either. You eat it, not because you're starving, but because eating rocks apparently helps you grind up your food. That's your life now. Voluntarily swallowing gravel so your body can figure out how to digest a worm. Every so often, you find an actual shrimp. It's not much, but it's better than mud, and you gulp it down like it's a Michelin star meal. Then, it's back to the muck for more blind foraging, because being a platypus means doing the same sad routine over and over again. By the time you're a juvenile, you've figured out the basics of platypus survival. Don't drown, don't get eaten, and occasionally find something edible. You're better at swimming now, your fur's thicker, and you've got a little more confidence. Not much though, because life is still a never-ending headache. For starters, rival platypuses are everywhere. You claim a little patch of river as your own, but every other platypus seems determined to trespass on it. They slap their tails at you, which is platypus for, leave or I'll make your day worse. Sometimes you slap back. Sometimes they ignore your warning, and that's when things escalate. Fighting as a platypus isn't majestic. There's no cinematic leaping or snarling. It's just thrashing, flailing, and more tail slapping. Picture two angry dish sponges slapping each other in a puddle. That's you. If you're a male, you've got venomous spurs on your back legs, which sounds cool until you use them. They don't kill anyone. They just hurt. A lot. You kick your opponent, they flinch, and you both leave the fight with bruises and a deep sense of regret. It's not a weapon that makes you feel powerful. It's a weapon that makes you wonder why evolution even bothered. And the hunger, it's constant. You're always foraging because worms and shrimp don't exactly pack a lot of calories. You spend hours digging your bill into the mud, hoping to find enough food to keep your energy up. But hey, at least you're not drowning anymore. Progress, right? Once you hit adulthood, your mom has had enough of you. She just leaves. You're on your own now. No friends, no family, just you and the river. Platypuses are loners. It's not about independence or freedom. It's about survival. Your days are a loop. Paddle around, dig for food, occasionally find food, and repeat. Every so often, a bird swoops by, and you dive for cover because you're still low on the food chain. It's not exactly glamorous. Sometimes you run into another platypus. If it's a female, things get weird fast. Platypus courtship is awkward. You swim in circles around her hoping she doesn't slap you. She either ignores you, slaps you, or, on very rare occasions, decides you're tolerable enough to mate with. Romance at its finest. If it's another male, the encounter's worse. It's tail slapping, more fighting, and more pointless injuries. You'd think by now you'd be good at fighting, but no. Every scuffle feels like an exhausting waste of energy, and you leave wondering why either of you bothered. By the time you hit your prime, you've got a small stretch of river you can call your own. You're a decent swimmer now. Nothing Olympic worthy, but you can paddle around without embarrassing yourself. You've also become a pro at foraging. That's not to say life is good though, it's just less disastrous than before, most of the time. Your so-called territory is just a muddy patch of riverbank with some reeds and a half-decent burrow. On a good day, you can dig up enough worms and shrimp to keep your stomach from growling. On a bad day, which is most days, drought dries up the river, leaving you poking at cracked mud and hoping for rain. If it's not a drought, it's a flood. The water rises, your burrow fills up, and you have to waddle around in a panic trying to rebuild while avoiding becoming someone's dinner. And predators? Still everywhere. Snakes slither around the banks, hawks circle overhead, and foxes wander the edges of the water, all looking for an easy meal. You spend half your time hiding in muddy water, trying not to move, because staying still is your best survival strategy. It's not exactly a power move, but it works, sometimes. Oh, and then there are the humans. They've got big plans for your little river, none of which involve your survival. One day they decide to dam it, cutting off your water supply. Another day, they show up with fishing poles, beer cans, and loud music, turning your home into a campsite. If you're lucky, they won't notice you. If you're not, you might end up tangled in a fishing net or stuffed into a sack, destined to be studied in someone's lab or mounted on someone's wall as a conversation piece. And let's not forget the cars. Humans build roads wherever they please, slicing through your habitat like they own the place. Crossing one of these roads is a death sentence waiting to happen. You run across, trying to avoid becoming roadkill, while cars zoom past at speeds your little webbed feet can't comprehend. If you survive the crossing, congratulations. You get to go back to your damp, miserable burrow and do it all over again tomorrow. This is your peak, apparently. You're supposed to be at your strongest, smartest, and most capable. Instead, you're spending your best years dodging predators, scavenging for food, and hoping humans forget you exist. It's not much of a peak, but it's all you've got. One day, you're swimming along, minding your own business, when a shadow passes over the water. You look up, and there it is, a massive bird. Before you can even think about diving, it grabs you. Just like that, you're in the air, hanging by your skin as it carries you higher and higher. You kick your legs and twist your body, not because you have a plan, but because you're out of options, and somehow you slip free. Now you're falling. You spin a bit, your legs going everywhere, and then, splash, you hit the water hard. It feels like getting slapped by a river, but hey, you're alive. You take a second to float there, stunned but sort of relieved. Lucky, you think. But then you notice something tugging at your bill. You look around and realize you've landed in a net, a fish trap. You try to back up, but it's no use. The more you push, the tighter it gets. You twist, kick, and try every trick you know, but it's not happening. The net's too strong, and you're too tired. Water starts filling your mouth. You keep trying, slower now, but eventually you stop. That's it. You drowned in a trap that wasn't even meant for you. The bird gets nothing, the fishermen get nothing, and you? Well, you're just another platypus who didn't make it. That was the platypus. Next is the fennec fox. You are born into a blistering wasteland, where you must constantly hide deep underground from the boiling sun and massive predators that see you as nothing but a bite-sized snack. You slide out of your mother onto the ground, somewhere in the Sahara Desert. One other sibling lies beside you in the underground den. Your mother licks you clean while you squirm on the ground, then she moves away and settles near the den wall. Everything around you is dark because your eyes haven't opened yet, so you crawl across the floor using your sense of touch to find food. You locate what you need and begin nursing while your sibling pushes against your side. Days pass in darkness as you nurse and sleep in the corner of the den. Your mother leaves sometimes, but she always comes back. Then, 2 weeks after you were born, your eyes finally open and you can see the walls around you for the first time. The den is small and empty except for you, your sibling, and your mother resting near the entrance. Your father appears at the opening carrying a dead mouse in his jaws and drops it in the dirt near your mother. She tears into it immediately while you and your sibling watch from across the den. He leaves again without making a sound. Skip forward 3 more weeks and you're strong enough to walk without falling. The den entrance glows with fading sunlight and you want to see what's outside, so you move toward it slowly. Your mother shifts her body to block the opening, but your sibling slips past her legs and steps out onto the sand. A large bird drops from the sky with its talons reaching forward and grabs your sibling before they can react. Your sibling screams once as the bird lifts off, then the sound disappears into the distance. Your mother pushes you back deeper into the den with her nose and stands at the entrance for hours. Your father returns later, and they both make low sounds to each other near the opening. The next evening, your mother nudges you toward the entrance and doesn't stop you this time. You step outside onto the cooling sand for the first time, completely alone. The sky took your sibling without warning, and now you'll have to face it by yourself. You're 6 weeks old now. Your legs are strong enough to walk without stumbling, so you follow your mother toward the den entrance as the sun begins to set. She steps outside first, and you move behind her onto the sand. The open space above you stretches farther than anything you've seen before, making you freeze in place for a moment. Your father walks past carrying a large beetle in his jaws and drops it near your front paws. You need to learn what food is, so you lower your head and sniff it, then bite down hard. The shell cracks between your teeth, and you swallow the pieces quickly. Your mother is already several steps away digging near a dried bush, so you run to catch up with her. Then something slams into your side and you tumble across the sand with your legs kicking in the air. Your mother spins around but doesn't move closer. You twist your body and see another young fox standing over you, about your size. It's a kit from a neighboring den and it wants to play, so it jumps on you again before you can stand. You bite at its ear while it pushes your face with its front paws. Your mother barks once, sharp and loud, making both of you stop immediately. She walks toward a small hole in the ground and starts digging fast with sand flying behind her. A lizard shoots out from underneath and runs straight across the open sand. You want to catch it, so you chase after it with your legs moving as fast as they can. But the lizard is much faster and disappears under a large rock before you get close. The other kit catches a beetle instead, and eats it in 3 quick bites while you watch from several steps away. You've learned that food doesn't just appear, you have to catch it yourself. And right now, you're too slow to catch anything that moves. Skip forward and you're 3 months old now. The sun has set completely, and you're outside the den by yourself searching for food. Your stomach is empty and you need to eat, so you press your large ears flat against the ground and listen carefully. Something is moving underneath the sand just ahead of you. You tilt your head from side to side, trying to pinpoint exactly where the sound is coming from. Then you start digging fast with both front paws. Sand flies behind you as you dig deeper until a fat beetle larva wriggles free from the dirt. You bite it quickly before it can burrow back down and swallow it whole. That's your first catch on your own. But you're still hungry, so you keep searching. You hear another sound beneath the sand, something larger this time moving through the dirt. You start digging again with your claws tearing through the sand until you uncover a small rodent trying to escape. It runs sideways, but you jump forward and pin it down with your front paw, then bite hard into its neck. It stops moving after a few seconds. You pick it up in your jaws and carry it back toward the den entrance, proud of what you've done. Then a shadow passes overhead, and you look up to see a huge bird circling above you. It's hunting, and you're out in the open with nowhere to hide, so you drop the rodent and run as fast as you can toward the den. You throw yourself through the entrance just as the bird dives down with its talons reaching forward. Its claws scrape across the sand where you were standing a moment ago. Then it lifts back up into the sky. You stay inside the den for hours, watching the entrance and waiting for the bird to leave. You caught your first real meal tonight, but the sky won't stop hunting you. And next time, you might not make it back to the den in time. You're 9 months old now. Your mother has given birth to a new litter, and the den is crowded with 4 tiny pups that can't see yet. Your father brings food back every night, but he doesn't share it with you anymore, so you stay near the entrance and watch him drop mice and lizards for your mother instead. Then one evening he turns toward you and growls low in his throat, showing his teeth. You understand what that means, so you back away from the den and walk out onto the sand. You need to find your own territory now, so you travel across the dunes for hours with the moon lighting your path. You pass several dens, but other fennec foxes have already marked the rocks around them with urine, telling you to keep moving. Then you find an abandoned burrow near a cluster of large stones, and you need to check if it's safe, so you move closer and sniff the entrance carefully. The tunnel is narrow, but empty, with no scent of any other animal, so you squeeze inside and explore the space. It's not deep enough yet, so over the next several nights you dig with your front paws to widen the tunnel and create a second exit on the other side of the rocks. When the den is finally ready, you mark every rock around it with urine to claim the space as yours. You hunt nearby over the following days, catching beetles, a small lizard, and 2 mice that were hiding under dried bushes. Then one night while you're digging for food, you hear other fennec foxes calling to each other somewhere in the distance. Their voices echo across the sand, but you don't respond because this territory belongs to you now. You've built your own den and claimed your first hunting grounds. Around 2 months later, you're 11 months old now. You're hunting near a dried bush when the wind suddenly picks up, blowing sand across the dunes in thick clouds. You need to get back to your den before it gets worse, so you turn around and start running. But the sand is already so thick you can barely see where you're going, making you slow down and squint hard. The wind grows stronger and pushes against your body, so you're forced to lower your head and keep moving forward. Then you stumble over a rock and fall sideways onto the ground. Sand immediately covers your legs and back, so you push yourself up quickly and shake it off. But you've lost your sense of direction, and you don't know which way your den is anymore. You need shelter fast, so you search for anything that can block the wind. You spot a large boulder ahead and run toward it, then press your body flat against its side. The storm gets even stronger, and sand piles up against your back while you stay completely still. Something moves through the dust beside you and stops at the same rock. It's a desert hare that needs shelter just like you do, so it presses against the boulder about a body length away. Neither of you moves toward the other because you're both trying to survive. Hours pass and the wind finally starts to weaken, making the air clear enough to see again. The hare bolts away immediately without looking back. You shake the sand from your fur and climb to the top of a nearby dune to look around. You scan the area until you spot your familiar rocks in the distance, then make your way back. Your burrow entrance is half buried in sand, so you dig with your front paws until you can squeeze inside. The desert can bury you without warning, and next time there might not be a rock nearby to save you. You're 1 year old now. One evening, you come out of your den and find fresh urine marks on the rocks near your burrow that weren't there before. Another fennec fox is trying to claim your territory, so you need to find him and drive him away. You follow the scent across the sand until you spot a young male digging near a patch of dried grass. He's about your size and he's eating something he just caught. You want him gone, so you walk toward him with your ears pointed forward. He stops chewing and turns to face you, then lowers his head and shows his teeth. You bare your teeth back and take another step closer. He moves toward you first, so you rush forward and slam your shoulder into his. You both tumble sideways across the sand with your jaws snapping at each other. He bites hard into your ear, making you yelp. Then you twist your body free and bite down on his front leg. He pulls back, trying to get away, so you lunge at him again and drive your head into his side. He falls and scrambles back to his feet, then turns and runs across the dunes without looking back. You chase him for several meters to make sure he keeps running, then stop and watch him disappear over the sand. You walk back to your rocks and mark every surface you can reach with urine, covering his scent with yours. Your ear is torn and blood drips onto the sand, but the territory is still yours. Fast forward and you're 2 years old now. One evening you catch a scent on the wind that you've never encountered before, so you need to find out what it is. You follow it across the dunes for hours with your nose close to the ground until you find a female digging near a termite mound. She's smaller than you with darker fur around her neck. She stops digging and watches you move closer, with her ears turning toward you. You walk right up to her and touch your nose to hers for a moment, then pull back. She walks away across the sand and you follow behind her, keeping several steps back. Over the next few days you hunt together, and when you catch a mouse, you drop it near her so she can eat first. She accepts the food and tears into it while you wait nearby. Then one evening she leads you to a large burrow she's been digging into the side of a dune. You follow her inside and move through the tunnel until you reach a wider chamber. You mate with her in the darkness. The next morning you leave the den to hunt, and you catch 2 mice and a lizard, then bring them back and drop them at the entrance. She comes out and eats while you stand several steps away, watching the dunes around you. Days pass and her belly starts to swell as she spends more time underground. Skip forward and you're 3 years old now. Your mate gave birth to 4 pups several weeks ago and you've been hunting every night to bring her food. Tonight you leave the burrow just after the sun sets and you need to find something quickly because she's waiting. You track a mouse across the open sand with your body staying low to the ground. You're so focused on catching it that you don't see the movement behind the rocks ahead. A caracal explodes from its hiding spot and slams into your side with its full weight, knocking you sideways onto the sand. You twist your body trying to bite back, but its jaws close around your throat and squeeze hard. You kick with your back legs and claw at its face trying to break free. But its grip only tightens, cutting off your air. Your legs start to slow down and your vision goes dark. Then your body stops moving completely. The caracal holds you until it's certain you're dead, then drags you behind the rocks and starts feeding. Your mate stays hidden in the burrow with the pups, listening to the sounds outside. She won't come out until morning, and by then you'll be gone. The pups will grow up without you, and she'll have to hunt alone to keep them alive. That was the fennec fox. Next is the fishing cat. You are born blind in dense reeds, and before you are even fully grown, you are forced to plunge headfirst into murky, crocodile-infested waters just to hunt for your next meal. You slip out of your mother, somewhere in Southeast Asia. Other newborns pile on top of you, as your mom gives birth to 2 more. You're blind and can't move, so your mother grips you in her mouth and carries you to a hidden spot. She goes back and forth until all 3 of you are lying together in the same den. A month passes and your eyes finally open. You start walking, bumping into your siblings and wrestling with them. But whenever you wander too far from your mother, she picks you up by the scruff and drops you back near the others. At 2 months old, she finally takes you outside. She leads you and your siblings to the shallow edge of the water. Fishing cats are one of the few cats that swim well, so she begins teaching you early. She walks ahead, looking back often, while you splash clumsily behind her. Each step forces your body to adjust, with your legs kicking against water instead of the soil. By 3 months old, she takes you on your first hunt. You crouch beside her at the riverbank and watch as she dives headfirst into the water. She bursts back up with a fish thrashing in her jaws, then drags it to shore. But you don't hunt yet. You only watch and learn. You and your siblings turn your attention to a frog that's jumping nearby. All 3 of you chase it together, but it jumps high and disappears into the grass, leaving you with nothing. Your first hunting trip ends in failure, but now you understand what your life will depend on. Skip forward and you're 4 months old now. The shallow edge of the river is no longer enough. Your mother leads you and your siblings into deeper water. She waits at the bank while you push forward with your head just above the surface. Each stroke forces you to kick harder, learning how to move against the current instead of standing in still pools. Your siblings swim beside you. One splashes toward your tail and bites lightly, then swims away. The third jumps on top of both of you, and all 3 of you sink for a moment before scrambling back to the surface. This play fighting isn't random. Every push and shove forces your muscles to adapt to swimming and holding balance in water. 2 more months pass, and you're now 6 months old. Your mother still stays close, but she no longer feeds you every day. You need to catch your own food, even if you fail at first. Fishing cats hunt differently from most cats. Instead of waiting on land, you walk into the water and use your paws. The soft pads break the surface quietly, tapping to send ripples across the river. You stand still until one swims close enough, then lunge. Your claws spread wide, hooking into the scales as you drag it out. The fish twists violently, but you grip tighter and slam it onto the bank. This is your first successful catch. It's small, but it proves you can feed yourself. Your mother watches from the reeds. She doesn't intervene. From now on, she knows you can survive if you learn fast enough. You're 9 months old now. Your two brothers leave first, traveling far from your mother to establish their own territories. You stay behind for a few days longer, but the time comes when you also have to leave. Fishing cats are solitary, and once you reach this age, there's no place for you beside your mother. You can hunt on your own now, but finding food is only part of survival. You also need land to claim. Without a territory, you have no shelter, no consistent hunting ground, and no chance to breed later in life. You linger at the edge of your mother's range for a short time, stealing fish from familiar waters, but eventually you push further, searching for land to call your own. The first barrier is a river that cuts through the forest. To hold territory beyond it, you'll have to cross it. You step into the water and begin swimming. Halfway across, a shape slices toward you from upstream. It's an otter. They share the same prey and the same rivers as you, which makes them one of your main competitors. This one doesn't hesitate. It lunges with its teeth out and clamps onto your shoulder. You shake violently, trying to throw it off. Your claws scrape across its side, forcing it to release for a moment, but it circles back and rams into you again. The fight drags you under. Both of you roll in the current, biting and clawing until your lungs burn. You finally twist free and kick hard toward the bank. The current drags at your body, pulling you sideways, but you keep swimming with your head just above the surface. And at last, you drag yourself onto the mud, gasping with water dripping from your mouth. The otter stays in midstream, blocking the path. And as you catch your breath, you realize survival isn't only about strength, it's about the world around you and how it can support life. How humans can and need to help to ensure that wild animals, like the fishing cat, have a chance. That's where my friends at Planet Wild come in, who I've partnered with for this video. They're a community-based nature protection organization, and the way they work is simple. Think of it as crowdfunding for nature. Every month, their 13,000 plus members fund a conservation project. Whether that's bringing back endangered species, protecting oceans, or restoring forests. What I love about it is that you actually see your impact. Planet Wild documents all their projects with a video report that you can find right here on YouTube to show you exactly what your contribution made possible. For example, one of their projects focused on Germany's Harz forest. Climate change had devastated it. After a historic drought in 2018, more than 80% of the trees were dead. Planet Wild stepped in, funding the planting of 5,000 climate-resilient trees to bring the forest back to life and give it a future again. It's the kind of work that ensures animals like the fishing cat actually have a future, with wetlands and forests that can sustain them. Personally, I think that's worth supporting, which is why I'm a member myself. It's easy to feel powerless when it comes to saving nature, but Planet Wild gives us a way to act together and see results. So if you want to join this growing movement, check out the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. You're free to give whatever amount, big or small. You can start for as little as the price of a sandwich. The first 100 people to use my code, BOUND10, will get their first month covered by me. After that, you can cancel anytime, no questions asked. And don't forget to watch Planet Wild's project restoring the Harz forest in Germany. A few weeks later, you circle the river and find a crossing point. The water runs slower here, and you manage to swim across without being attacked. On the far side, the forest opens into a patch of wetlands. It's rich with reeds, fish, and birds. This is the kind of territory a fishing cat can survive in, so you begin to settle. You slip into the water and start hunting. Catfish swim in the shallows, their whiskers brushing the mud as they feed. They grow larger than most river fish. They are heavy with muscle and fat, and catching one means food for days. You crouch low in the reeds, then dive. The catfish jerks hard, but your claws sink in and you drag it back toward shore. As soon as you step onto the bank with the fish hanging from your jaws, a fully grown leopard jumps out. You drop the fish, but it doesn't even take a look at it. It wants you. You turn around and sprint into the water. Leopards hunt cats like you when the chance comes, and size alone gives it the advantage. You dive under the surface and keep swimming while the leopard chases behind you, waiting for when you'll need to take a breath. Then an idea comes to your mind. You circle back, lunge upward, and clamp onto its front leg. Your jaws sink in, and you yank it down into the water. It starts shaking and spinning around like crazy as panic sets in. Each second underwater weakens it further, until it tears free and scrambles back to the bank, coughing and retreating into the reeds. You swim to the other side, alive, but shaken. You've lost the catfish, but for the first time, you've defeated someone much stronger than you. Skip forward, and you're 3 years old now. A male finds you by following the scent marks you've left in the reeds. He doesn't want food or territory. He wants to mate. You try to run, but he chases you down and clamps his jaws into the back of your neck. He mounts and breeds quickly, biting harder each time you resist. This happens again and again over the next several days until he finally leaves. Males don't stay. They never help raise the young. 2 months later, you give birth to a litter of 3 kittens. They are blind and helpless, unable to hunt or defend themselves. You hide them deep in the bushes where their scent won't be as easy to find and let them drink your milk. The first weeks are spent moving back and forth between your den and the river. You leave the kittens behind while you hunt fish, then return quickly before they can be discovered. Fishing cats survive by ambush, and you rely on the same tricks as before. You step into the shallow water, Tap the surface with your paw, then strike fast when a fish comes close. Every meal you catch is swallowed quickly so you can get back to the den. A month later, the kittens begin walking. Their legs are unsteady, but they follow when you step out of the den. You lead them to the edges of your territory, showing them where to drink, where to hide, and how to move without making much sound. They still can't hunt, but each trip prepares them for what's next. For now, they trust you to bring food and safety. But in this territory, predators watch for mistakes. One wrong move and the litter will not survive. 3 months later, your kittens are old enough to follow you to the water. It's their first hunt, and you show them how fishing cats catch prey without that much effort. You step into the shallow water and tap your paw across the surface. The ripples spread, tricking fish into thinking an insect has landed. When one swims up, you strike fast and pull it out. The fish is small, so you drop it back, showing the kittens that not every catch is worth keeping. You walk deeper, and the kittens follow closely. This time you teach them how to dive. You push under, bounce from the mud at the bottom, then swim back up to the surface. But when you rise, only 2 kittens are waiting. The third is gone. You dive again, scanning the water. At first you think it might have followed and lost its way, but then you freeze. Below you is a crocodile with its jaws stained with blood. Your kitten is already dead. Before you can react, the crocodile surges upward. Its jaws open wide and it swallows another kitten in a single snap. Then it sinks back into the dark. You don't hesitate. The last kitten is still alive, drifting near the surface. You rush forward and grab it by the scruff just as the crocodile bursts upward again. Its jaws close so near that the water explodes around you. You twist aside and kick hard, pulling your kitten out of reach. You drag yourself onto the bank, gasping with your kitten still dangling from your mouth. 2 of your litter are dead. Only 1 remains, and keeping it alive will be harder than ever. Skip forward again, and you're 5 years old now. The 1 kitten that survived has long since left your territory. You've been alone for months, hunting and patrolling without anyone by your side. When mating season returns, another male arrives following the scent you've left behind. This time you don't run. After losing most of your first litter, you don't want more kittens. So when he steps closer, you stay still and face him head on. He lowers his head, expecting you to submit like before, but instead you lunge. Your claws scrape across his face and leave deep cuts. He answers with a bite, clamping into your shoulder, and both of you roll into the mud. The fight is brutal. His body is heavier, and he forces you down with his jaws locked tight. You twist hard, driving your claws into his belly until he jerks back. Then you leap again, biting deep into his throat. He shakes violently, but your jaws hold. Each kick weakens until his body goes limp. When it's over, you drag his body aside and start feeding. Fishing cats eat whatever they kill, and his flesh is no different from prey, so you tear strips from his side, swallowing quickly. Soon the sound of wings surrounds you. Crows gather in the trees, then drop down one by one. They peck at the body beside you, tearing at scraps of meat, but you don't chase them away. The male is gone, but the season isn't over. More males are moving across the wetlands, and sooner or later, one of them will find your scent again. You're 8 years old now. After circling through your territory, you find something strange at the edge of the forest. An open field stretches ahead, and scattered across it are dozens of chickens. They move kind of weird, just scratching at the ground. They are nothing like the fish and birds you're used to hunting. To you, it looks like the easiest meal you've ever seen. You crouch low and creep forward. The chickens barely notice you until you burst from the grass. You strike one in a single pounce and clamp your jaws around its neck. The others scatter, but you don't chase them. You drag the kill to the side, tear it apart quickly, and eat. The meat is soft and easy to swallow, so you leave the rest for later and return to your territory. The next day you come back. The chickens are still there and none of them can outrun you. You lunge again, catch another, and pin it to the ground. This time the bird screams and its wings flap violently. The sound echoes across the field. You rip into it, but footsteps approach fast from a distance. You freeze, trying to decide whether to run or finish eating. Then the sound comes. A single crack. Your body jolts. Pain floods through you for an instant, then everything goes black. You got shot by a farmer. That was the fishing cat. Next is the opossum. You are born completely blind and the size of a jelly bean, forced into a frantic, crawling race against your own siblings to reach your mother's pouch. You slide out of your mother, somewhere in North America. Around you, 13 siblings slide out one after another, all crawling in the same direction toward the pouch opening on her belly. One of your siblings ahead of you loses grip and falls off your mother's side, hitting the ground below and going still. You keep crawling, pushing your legs through the thick fur with your claws digging in for grip. Another sibling bumps into you from behind, trying to climb over your back, but you shove forward harder and reach the pouch entrance first. You pull yourself inside and latch onto the first nipple you find. It swells in your mouth immediately, locking your jaw in place so you can't let go even if you tried. Skip forward 8 weeks. Your eyes open for the first time and the pouch around you is packed tight with your siblings pressing against your sides. You need more space, so you unlatch from the nipple and crawl toward the opening. Your mother is climbing a tree trunk outside, moving fast with her claws scraping against the bark. You pull yourself out of the pouch and grab onto the fur on her back, wrapping your tail around a clump of it for extra grip. But halfway up the tree, your mother jumps to another branch and the impact shakes you loose. You fall, dropping several feet before hitting the leaf litter below with your legs crumpling underneath you. Your mother doesn't stop or look back. She keeps climbing higher into the branches above. You need to catch up, so you dig your claws into the bark and scramble upward, using your legs and tail to pull yourself higher. You reach her tail hanging down and grab it, climbing hand over hand until you're back on her back where the grip is stronger. You made it back this time, but your mother won't always wait. You're 10 weeks old now, and your mother is moving along the edge of a stream with you and your siblings clinging to her back. She stops at a rock sitting half submerged in the water and flips it over with her front paws, making a crayfish scuttle backward into the current. She grabs it before it can escape, crushing its shell between her teeth and swallowing it in 2 bites. You want to try, so you climb down from her back and move toward another rock nearby. You push against it with both paws until it rolls over, and a crayfish backs away from the exposed dirt underneath. You reach for it with your paw, but it snaps forward and clamps its pincer onto your pad. You squeal and jerk your paw back, but the crayfish holds on tight, so you shake your leg hard until it finally lets go and drops into the water. Blood drips from the puncture it left behind. Then something passes overhead, blocking the sun for a second. Your mother drops flat against the ground instantly, pressing her body into the dirt with her legs tucked underneath her. Siblings freeze beside her, copying her position without making any sound. You don't understand why they stopped, but you copy them anyway, lying flat and going completely still. A hawk circles above the stream twice, turning its head from side to side while it scans the ground below. Then it flies away toward the trees farther down. Your mother lifts her head and starts moving again like nothing happened. The crayfish pinch will heal in a few days, but the memory of how it felt will stay sharp. And the hawk is still out there, circling other streams and waiting for something to move. At 3 months old, you're too big to ride on your mother anymore, so you follow her and your siblings on foot through the forest. Your mother finds a dead bird lying in the grass and your siblings rush forward, all trying to get to it first. They pile on top of each other, biting and pulling at the body while you're pushed to the outside of the group. You can't reach the meat, so you turn away and start looking for food on your own. You're hungry and need to find something to eat, so you move through the leaf litter until you spot a cluster of mushrooms growing on a rotting log. You bite into one, but the taste is bitter and makes your mouth water in the wrong way, so you spit it out and keep moving. The log looks promising, so you push against it with your paws until it rolls over, and beetles, grubs, and millipedes scatter in every direction underneath. You grab a beetle and crunch through its shell, swallowing it quickly before moving to the next one. Then you hear something moving through the bushes behind you. A young raccoon steps out and walks straight towards your log with its eyes locked on the exposed grubs. The raccoon is twice your size, so you need to protect your food. You turn toward it and open your mouth wide, hissing and showing all 50 of your teeth. The raccoon stops for a second, staring at you, but then it lunges forward without backing down. You're not strong enough to fight it, so you scramble backward and the raccoon takes over, eating the grubs you uncovered. You found food on your own and lost it just as fast. Out here, finding a meal isn't enough, and right now you're not big enough to keep what you find. You're 5 months old now and you've been on your own for 3 weeks. Your mother and siblings left without warning, so now you have to find all your food yourself. You're moving through tall grass near a clearing, eating fallen persimmons that dropped from a tree, when a fox comes out of the trees and starts running straight at you. You need to escape, so you turn and try to run, but the fox is much faster and closes the distance in seconds. Then your body locks up mid-stride, making your legs go stiff and your muscles freeze completely. You fall sideways and hit the ground hard with your mouth falling open and your tongue rolling out. You can't move anything, not your legs or your head or even your eyes, but you're still awake and can see everything happening around you. The fox reaches you and sniffs your face, pushing its nose against your cheek and neck. Then it bites down gently on your side, testing if you're actually dead, but you can't react or flinch or do anything to stop it. The fox picks you up by the scruff and carries you several feet before dropping you near a bush. It sniffs you again, then lifts its leg and urinates on the ground next to your body, marking the area as its own. Then it turns and walks away, following a different scent into the trees. You stay frozen on the ground for several more minutes, unable to move even though the fox is gone. Finally, your muscles unlock and you can breathe normally again, so you get up and stumble into the bushes with your legs shaking underneath you. Your body knew how to survive before you understood what was happening. But if the fox had been hunting for food instead of marking territory, it would have eaten you while you were still conscious and couldn't fight back. Skip forward a bit, and you're 9 months old now. You've been using a hole in a fallen log as your den for 2 weeks, dragging in leaves and grass to line the inside and make it comfortable. You've marked the trees around it by rubbing your scent glands against the bark, leaving trails that tell other opossums this area belongs to you. You're returning from foraging when you reach your den and see another opossum already inside, a young male about the same size as you. He's lying in the spot where you sleep, making himself comfortable in your home. You need to take it back, so you move toward the entrance and open your mouth wide, hissing as loud as you can. He hears you and crawls forward to the opening, then opens his mouth even wider and hisses back with all 50 of his teeth showing. You both stand there facing each other with your mouths open and drool dripping from your jaws, neither one backing down or looking away. The standoff lasts for several minutes, with both of you trying to wait the other out. Then you lunge forward suddenly and snap your jaws at his face, making him jerk backward. But he recovers fast and lunges back at you. So you collide in the entrance with both of you biting at each other's heads and necks. Your teeth catch the edge of his ear and tear through it, ripping a piece off that bleeds down the side of his face. He bites into your shoulder hard enough to break through the skin and draw blood. But you shake him off and charge forward again, slamming your full weight into his side. He stumbles backward out of the log and onto the ground, so you chase after him for several more feet, while hissing until he finally runs away into the forest. You turn back and climb into your den with blood still dripping from your shoulder. The den is yours and you fought for it, but there are other males living nearby, and some of them are bigger than you. You're 1 year old now, and something pulls you away from your territory for the first time. You pick up a scent trail that makes you follow it without thinking, tracking it for hours through ground you've never crossed before. The trail leads you to a female opossum foraging near a fallen tree, tearing apart rotting wood to get at the insects underneath. You need to get closer, so you move toward her slowly while making clicking sounds with your tongue. She stops eating and turns to face you, opening her mouth slightly and hissing, but she doesn't run away. You circle around her, staying close and keeping your body low to the ground. Then another male comes out of the brush on the opposite side, bigger and older than you with scars across his face and ears. He charges straight at you with his mouth open, so you lower your head and lunge forward to meet him. Both of you collide hard with your teeth snapping at each other's faces and necks. He's stronger and pushes you backward, slamming you onto your side and biting deep into your front leg. The bite tears through muscle and makes blood run down to your paw. You twist your head and bite his snout hard enough to make him release your leg, so you roll away and get back on your feet. He charges again, but you dodge sideways and bite his back leg, pulling it out from under him and making him stumble. He turns and limps back into the forest, leaving you standing alone with the female. You mate with her quickly, and then she walks away into the trees without looking back. Your front leg throbs where his teeth went through, and the wound will leave a scar that stays with you. But you won't see that female again, and you'll never know if your offspring made it to her pouch or survived the crawl. At 16 months old, you're moving slower than you used to. The leg injury from the mating fight never healed right, so you limp when you walk across uneven ground. You need to eat, so you're crossing open space toward a berry bush at the edge of the forest when a great horned owl drops from a branch above without making any sound. Its talons sink into your back, piercing through your fur and into your skin, and you're lifted off the ground with the trees dropping away below you. You twist your body hard and bite at the owl's legs, trying to make it let go. Your teeth connect with its talon and break through the scales, so the owl screeches and releases you mid-flight. Your back leg buckles wrong underneath you when you land, making the joint twist badly in a way it shouldn't. The bone doesn't break, but the leg won't support your weight anymore. The owl lands a few feet away and watches you with both of its legs now injured from your bite. Then something moves in the trees nearby, and the owl turns its head and flies away fast. You don't know what scared it off, but you're not going to wait around to find out. You drag yourself toward the bushes with both back legs trailing behind you, barely able to pull your body forward. You survive the owl, but now both of your back legs don't work right, and every step takes twice as much effort as it did before. You're 20 months old now, dragging yourself through the same route you've walked hundreds of times before. Both back legs barely work anymore, so every step forward takes longer than it used to. You need food, so you're moving toward the spot where fruit falls from a tree, stopping every few minutes to rest with your breathing getting heavier each time. You reach the tree and start eating persimmons lying on the ground, biting through the soft flesh and swallowing quickly. A bobcat comes out of the tall grass 20 feet away, moving silently toward you. It's been watching you for several minutes, tracking the way you limp and drag your legs behind you. You don't see it until it's already running, covering the distance in 3 explosive bounds. You try to turn, but your legs collapse underneath you, making you fall sideways onto the ground. Your body tries to go stiff and trigger the death response, but the reaction comes too slow. The bobcat's jaws close around your neck before you finish falling, and its teeth cut through your spine instantly. Your body goes completely limp. Everything stops. The bobcat drags you into the bushes and feeds. By the next day, only scattered fur and small bones remain under the leaves. That was the opossum. Next is the red panda. You are born completely helpless in a freezing, high-altitude tree hollow, constantly facing brutal mountain temperatures and the relentless threat of snow leopards looking for an easy meal. You slide out of your mother inside a hole in a tree, high in the forest somewhere in the Himalayas. Your sibling comes next, landing beside you in the nest of leaves and soft bark your mother gathered weeks before. Neither of you can see or walk yet, so you press against each other and your mother's belly while she curls her tail around both of you. Then, your mother stands and leaves the den, The entrance is just a narrow gap in the trunk, barely wide enough for her body to fit through. She climbs down head first with her claws gripping the bark, disappearing into the branches below. You and your siblings stay still in the dark, not moving until she comes back. A few hours later, she returns, climbing back up with bamboo leaves hanging from her mouth. She moves back into the hole and begins grooming you with her tongue, licking the membrane from your fur. But then a scratching sound comes from outside, making her stop. Something is climbing the tree. A yellow-throated marten appears at the entrance and pushes its head into the den. Your mother lunges forward and slashes across its face with her claws, forcing it back. But the marten doesn't leave. It circles around and tries again from a different angle, pushing deeper this time. Your mother blocks it with her body, biting at its neck when it gets close. But the marten's jaws snap past her shoulder and clamp onto your sibling's back leg, dragging it toward the opening. She pulls your sibling back into the nest. Its leg is torn open and bleeding into the leaves beneath it. Your mother licks the wound, trying to clean it, but your sibling's breathing sounds different now, slower and weaker than before. Below the tree, branches snap as the marten moves through the forest. It's still close, and it knows where you are now. In a den this small, there's nowhere to hide if it comes back. You're 3 months old now. Your eyes opened weeks ago, and your legs work well enough to leave the den for the first time. Your mother moves toward the entrance and looks back at you, so you follow her out onto the branch. Your sibling stays behind in the nest, not moving from where it's been lying for days. The branch is narrow, and the bark is rough under your paws. You grip it with your claws and take small steps, copying the way your mother places her feet. Then she climbs higher, moving up toward the bamboo growing near the top of the tree, so you follow behind her with your legs shaking from the effort. That's when you reach for a bamboo leaf hanging just above the branch, but your paw slips on the smooth bark, making you fall sideways and catch yourself on a lower branch with your claws digging in hard. You hang there for a moment, trying to pull yourself back up. Then, a red panda from another tree leaps across the gap and lands on the branch above you. The stranger moves down toward you fast, so your mother climbs between you and blocks its path. Both adults rear up on their back legs and swipe at each other with their front claws, fighting for balance on the narrow wood. But then, the branch cracks under their weight, and both of them fall through the smaller branches below, hitting the forest floor hard. Your mother gets up first and climbs back toward you while the stranger runs off into the bamboo. She reaches you and nudges you with her nose, guiding you back to the den where your sibling is still lying in the same spot. Red pandas are territorial, and they don't share trees or feeding areas. The forest is full of others like you, and most of them will attack if you get too close. Skip forward a bit, and you're 6 months old now. Your sibling died weeks ago, so now it's just you and your mother moving through the forest together. She leads you down from the den toward a thick patch of bamboo growing between the trees, stopping at the base of the first stalk. Then she bites into the stem and strips the leaves away with her teeth, chewing only the soft green shoots at the top. You move closer and try to copy her, biting down on the nearest stalk. But your teeth can't break through the tough outer layer, so you chew harder, trying to tear it apart. Then your mother pushes you aside with her nose and shows you a younger shoot growing near the ground. You bite into it, and this time the stem breaks easily, letting you chew the soft inside with your back teeth. That's when a Himalayan black bear crashes through the bamboo behind you, snapping stalks as it moves toward the same patch you're feeding in. Your mother stops chewing and backs away slowly, so you follow her toward the nearest tree. But then you step on a dry branch and it snaps under your weight, making a sharp crack that cuts through the forest. The bear turns toward the sound and stands up on its back legs, looking straight at you. Then it drops back down and moves in your direction, so your mother runs to the tree and climbs up fast with her claws digging into the bark. You scramble after her, pulling yourself higher while the bear swipes at the trunk below, trying to reach you with its claws. You stay in the branches until the sun starts to drop and the bear finally leaves. But when you climb back down, the bamboo patch is destroyed. Red pandas need to eat for most of the day to survive, so you'll have to find new feeding grounds fast. You're 1 year old now. Your mother stopped letting you follow her weeks ago, swinging at you with her claws whenever you got close. So you've been moving through the forest alone looking for your own territory. Snow covers the ground now, making it harder to find food. Then you come across a thick bamboo patch growing between 2 large trees. You move closer and start feeding on the young shoots. But that's when you notice the scent marks on the bark around you. Another red panda lives here, and you're eating its food. You keep chewing anyway because you haven't eaten much in days. But then a larger male appears from the branches above and drops down in front of you with his teeth showing. Charges straight at you, so you try to back away. But he's faster, biting down on your shoulder and knocking you into the snow. You twist around and scratch at his face with your claws, cutting across his nose. But he's much stronger, pinning you down with his weight until you stop moving and go limp beneath him. Then he lets go and backs away, watching you while you get up slowly and leave the patch behind. You walk through the snow until you find a small area of frost-damaged bamboo growing near a rock. It's not much, but you start eating it anyway, trying to fill your stomach with whatever you can find. Then you spot a bird's nest in the tree above with 3 eggs inside, so you climb up and eat those too. Winter has just started, and you've already lost weight. Skip forward, and you're 2 years old now. You've been living in a small territory for months, feeding on the same bamboo patches every day. But then the bamboo starts flowering, covering the forest in white blooms that appear almost overnight. A few weeks later, all the stalks in your territory turn brown and die, leaving you with nothing to eat. So you move into areas you don't know, walking farther from your den than you've ever been before. That's when you find a grove of oak trees with acorns scattered across the ground, so you start eating them alongside whatever bamboo you can find. Then a group of blood pheasants feeding nearby suddenly scatter into the air, making you look up. A clouded leopard is lying on a branch directly above you with its eyes locked on where you're standing. The leopard drops from the tree and lands just behind you, so you sprint to the nearest trunk and climb as fast as you can with your claws digging into the bark. The leopard follows you up, but you keep climbing higher until you reach branches too thin to hold its weight. Then you move sideways to another tree, jumping across the gap and landing on a branch that connects to the next one. You spend the rest of the day moving through the treetops, staying high where the leopard can't follow. Then, when the sun starts to drop, you look down and spot a thick bamboo patch growing in a valley below. The bamboo there is still green and healthy, so you'll have to leave your old territory behind and move down there instead. But valleys collect water, and water brings bigger animals than leopards. You're 3 years old now. Winter ends, and your body starts changing, making you mark trees more often with the scent glands on your paws and under your tail. Then one day you pick up a female's scent on a tree trunk, so you follow the trail through the forest until you find her resting on a branch above you. But another male is already there, circling the tree below and marking it with his own scent. He climbs up toward the female, so you climb up from the other side, meeting him halfway on the same branch. Both of you stand on your back legs and puff your tails out, making yourselves look bigger while opening your mouths to show your teeth. Then he charges at you along the branch, so you meet him in the middle and both of you grab each other with your front claws, trying to push the other one off. You bite down on his shoulder while he scratches at your face, and both of you grapple for balance on the narrow wood. But then you manage to shove him sideways, making him lose his grip and fall to a lower branch where he stops and watches you from below. The female stays where she is on her branch, so you climb up toward her slowly. She doesn't run away or swipe at you, so you move closer and stay with her for the next 2 days. Then she drives you away with her claws, forcing you back to your own territory. Red pandas are only able to mate for 1 or 2 days each year, and that somewhere in these mountains, your offspring will be born next spring, but you'll never see them or know they exist. Skip forward a bit, and you're 5 years old now. You've been living in the same territory for years, feeding on bamboo and sleeping in a hole high up in an old oak tree. But then, one afternoon, smoke starts drifting through the branches around you, making you climb down to see where it's coming from. That's when you spot orange light flickering through the trees below, moving uphill fast and burning through the dry grass and dead leaves on the forest floor. The fire spreads quickly, so you climb back up and start moving higher into the branches where the smoke is thinner. But then, the flames reach the base of your tree, making the bark catch fire and forcing you to jump across to the next tree before the heat gets too strong. You keep moving through the treetops, leaping from branch to branch and staying ahead of the flames spreading below you. But the smoke gets thicker, making it harder to see where you're going, so you climb down when you reach a rocky area with no trees or grass to burn. Then you squeeze into a gap between 2 large boulders and stay there while the fire moves past you on both sides. A few hours later, the flames are gone and you come out of the rocks. Your entire territory is burned, with all the bamboo turned to black stems and ash covering the ground. So you start walking downhill toward the villages, where the bamboo is still green and growing near the forest edge. The burned areas will grow back over time, but that will take years, and down near the villages, there are new dangers that don't climb trees or run from fire. You're 7 years old now. You've been living near the forest edge for 2 years, feeding on the bamboo that grows between the trees and the village fields below. Then one evening, you climb down from your tree and start walking along a trail you've used many times before, heading toward a thick patch of bamboo on the other side of the clearing. But then, something pulls tight around your front leg, yanking you sideways and slamming you into the ground. A wire loop closes around your ankle, cutting through your fur and into the skin beneath it. You twist hard and bite at the wire with your teeth, trying to break it free, but it only gets tighter, so you pull in the other direction, dragging yourself in a circle through the dirt while the wire digs deeper into your leg. A few hours later, the sun comes up and a man walks down the trail toward you. He's checking the traps he set for musk deer, but he finds you instead. He moves closer and you try to stand, but he swings a stick and hits you across the head before you can move. Then everything stops. He pulls the wire free from your leg and carries you down the mountain with your body hanging from a rope. Your fur will be sold, and the rest of you left in a ditch somewhere outside the village. That was the red panda. Next is the beaver. You are forced into freezing, murky waters almost immediately, doomed to spend your entire life endlessly chewing down trees with teeth that never stop growing just to build a fortress against relentless predators. You slide out of your mother somewhere in North America. You're wet and can't see anything around you. Your mother nudges you toward her belly with her nose, so you crawl forward until you feel her fur and latch onto feed. The milk is warm and fills your stomach quickly, then you let go and lie still beside her. A few hours pass and your eyes start to open. The shapes around you are blurry at first, but then you see the curved walls of the lodge and a pool of water below the platform where you're lying. Your mother slides off the edge and drops into the water without a sound. You need to follow her, so you crawl to the edge and push yourself over. You drop straight down and sink under the surface. Your legs kick in every direction trying to find something solid, but there's nothing beneath you. Your lungs start to tighten, so you kick harder and your head breaks through the surface. You gasp once, then sink again. Your mother swims underneath you and pushes you upward with her nose, lifting your body until you're floating on top of the water. Another kit surfaces beside you and paddles past without struggling. You try copying their movement, kicking your back legs while your front paws paddle forward. You stay above the water for a few seconds, then your head dips under again. You thrash once and surface, then kick toward the nearest wall. Your front paws hit a stick and you grab it, pulling yourself onto the platform. You shake once and water streams off your fur, then you crawl back toward the spot where your mother is resting. You'll spend the next few days learning how to move through water without drowning, but soon, you'll need to learn what's waiting outside. You're 2 weeks old now. You've been swimming inside the lodge chamber for days, and your legs are stronger than they were before. Your mother dives through the underwater entrance and disappears, then your sibling follows her down. You need to see where they're going, so you take a breath and push yourself under the surface, swimming through the tunnel until you come out on the other side. You surface in the pond and look around. The water stretches wide in every direction, much bigger than the space inside the lodge. Your sibling is already swimming toward the far bank, where your mother is pulling branches into a pile. You paddle toward them, but something moves in the water near your feet. A large fish passes underneath you, and your legs jerk upward trying to get away from it. You kick harder and swim toward the shallow water near the edge, then climb onto the mud and stop moving. A bird lands on a rock a few body lengths away from you. You freeze and watch it, but then it spreads its wings and lifts into the air without coming closer. Your mother surfaces near the bank with a branch clamped in her teeth, then swims back toward the lodge. You need to follow her, so you slide into the water and dive through the entrance with your eyes open this time, making it through without hitting the sides. Inside, your sibling is already on the platform chewing on a piece of bark. You climb up beside them and shake the water off your fur, then lie down and rest. The pond is bigger than the lodge, and you're not the only thing living in it. Skip forward a bit, and you're 6 weeks old now. You swim to the bank and pull yourself onto land with your front paws, then walk toward a group of young willow trees growing near the water. Your sibling is already there chewing on a thin branch. You need to learn how to do this, so you move closer to a sapling and open your mouth, biting down on the wood as hard as you can. Your teeth scrape against the surface, but nothing breaks off. You adjust the angle and bite again, this time pressing deeper until wood splinters between your teeth. You keep chewing in the same spot, working through the branch layer by layer until it snaps and falls to the ground. You grab it with your front paws and start dragging it back toward the pond, but it catches on a root sticking out of the soil. You pull harder, twisting your body to the side until the branch comes loose and slides free. You reach the water and drop in with the branch still clamped in your mouth, then swim toward the lodge. Your sibling surfaces beside you and grabs the other end of the branch, pulling in the opposite direction. You both tug at the same time, and the wood splits down the middle, breaking into 2 pieces. You keep your half and swim toward the entrance, but the branch is too wide to fit through the opening. You turn it sideways and push it forward, forcing it through the gap until it slips inside, then you follow it in. Your teeth are sharp enough now to cut wood, but cutting it is one thing. Building with it is something else. You're 4 months old now. You're swimming near the dam where your mother and sibling are working, and the water level sits high against the stacked branches. Your sibling dives under the surface and comes back up with mud between their paws, then presses it into a small gap between 2 logs. You hear water rushing louder than usual, so you turn your head and look at the dam. A section near the middle starts leaking, and water pushes through the opening faster with every second that passes. Your mother swims over immediately and drags a thick branch toward the break, so you grab a stick from the bank and swim toward the same spot. But the current pulls you sideways, making it harder to stay in position. You wedge the stick into the gap and press down, but it slips out and floats away before it can hold. The leak gets wider, and water pours through the opening, making the pond level drop lower than it was before. Your mother forces a heavy branch across the break and shoves mud on top of it with her front paws, packing it down until it stays in place. You need to help, so you dive under and scoop mud from the bottom, then surface and press it against the wood where the water is still coming through. Your sibling swims over with more sticks and layers them on top of the branch, adding weight to the whole structure. The leak slows down, then stops completely, and the water level steadies again. The dam holds back the water, but it breaks more often than it stays whole, and one day you'll have to build your own. Skip forward, and you're 1 year old now. The lodge feels smaller than it used to, and your body barely fits through the entrance when you swim in and out. Your mother pushes past you to leave, and your sibling follows her through the tunnel. You surface in the pond and start swimming toward the bank where the willows grow, but your mother moves in front of you and blocks your path to the dam. Then she lifts her tail and slaps it hard against the water, making a loud crack that echoes across the pond. You need to leave, so you turn around and swim in the opposite direction, away from the lodge. Your sibling surfaces near you and starts swimming the same way, but your mother slaps her tail again, this time closer than before. You both keep going, following the creek that flows downstream past the edge of the pond. The current grabs you and pulls you faster than you've ever moved, so you let it carry you forward while your sibling stays close beside you. You pass under fallen logs and through narrow channels where the banks are only a few body lengths apart. Then the creek widens into a slower section with calmer water. You stop paddling and let yourself drift, but your sibling keeps swimming and disappears around a bend ahead of you. You paddle to the bank and climb out onto the mud, then sit there alone watching the water flow past. You're on your own now, and if you want a place to live, you'll have to make it yourself. You're 2 years old now. You've been traveling for months, moving through streams and checking every narrow section you find. Then you come across a creek that flows fast between two banks, lined with willow and aspen trees. You need to build a dam here, so you cut a branch from the nearest tree and drag it into the water, wedging it between two rocks on opposite sides of the creek. Then another, building a foundation that stretches across the current. Water starts pooling behind the structure, but the flow pushes one branch loose and it floats downstream. You need to fix this, so you dive under and grab the branch, then jam it back into place with more force than before. You pile mud and stones on top of everything, packing it down tight so nothing else comes loose. Over the next few days, you keep adding more layers, and the dam grows taller with each branch you stack. The water behind it rises slowly, flooding the banks on both sides and creating a shallow pond where there used to be flowing creek. You cut larger logs from the aspen grove and drag them to the base of the dam, reinforcing the whole structure so it can hold more weight. Then one morning, you surface in the middle of the pond and look around. The water sits calm and still, and everything you built is holding together. You start cutting branches and pulling them into a pile in the center of the pond, stacking them on top of each other to form the beginning of a lodge. The dam is holding. The pond is yours. But you're not the only beaver looking for a place to settle. Skip forward a bit, and you're 3 years old now. You're working on a weak section of the dam, pushing mud into a small gap where water is leaking through. Then you hear splashing upstream, so you stop and turn your head to look. Another beaver swims into your pond, and they're larger than you with thick shoulders and a wide tail. They're moving straight toward the dam where you're working. You need to warn them off, so you swim toward them and lift your tail, then slap it hard against the water. But they keep coming without slowing down. You dive under the surface and swim directly at them with your teeth showing, then bite at their side when you get close enough. They twist their body and slam into your shoulder, knocking you sideways through the water. You both surface at the same time, and the water churns between you as you push against each other trying to gain position. You open your mouth and bite down on their tail, clamping your teeth tight. They thrash and pull away, ripping their tail free from your grip. You chase them toward the edge of the pond with your body moving as fast as it can, then slap your tail against the water again to make them leave faster. They dive under the surface and swim downstream past the dam, disappearing around the bend in the creek. You circle the pond once to make sure they're gone, then return to the dam and keep working on the gap where the water was leaking. You fought for this place, and you'll keep fighting for it if you have to. But soon, another beaver will arrive that you won't chase away. You're 7 years old now. Your dam is strong, your lodge is large, and 2 kits swim behind you in the pond. You climb onto the bank and walk toward a thick aspen tree that you've been cutting for the past few days. The trunk is nearly through, with only a thin section of wood still holding it upright. You need to finish this, so you open your mouth and bite into the last part, chewing steadily while wood chips fall at your feet. The tree starts to creak, so you step back and watch it tilt to one side. But the top catches on another tree beside it, and the trunk hangs there without falling all the way down. You need to free it, so you move closer to check the cut. The trunk shifts slightly but still doesn't drop. You bite at the base again, trying to break the last piece that's keeping it stuck. Then the tree suddenly snaps loose, and the trunk swings down faster than you can move away from it. It slams into your back and pins you against the ground. Your legs kick once trying to push it off, but the weight is too heavy and you can't get free. Then your legs stop moving. The tree settles across your body with its branches spread out over the bank, and the pond stays still. Above you, your kits surface near the lodge. One of them dives back under and swims toward the bank, already looking for wood to cut. That was the beaver. Next is the pika. You are born on freezing, jagged rock slopes where you must spend every waking second frantically gathering grass to survive the brutal winter, knowing a single diving hawk could snatch you at any moment. You slip out of your mother, somewhere in the mountains of Central Asia. One sibling slides out beside you and lands against your back. You're blind and can't see anything around you, but you press closer to the warmth coming from the nest material your mother lined the burrow with. Your sibling squirms and accidentally rolls on top of you, pinning you against the dirt wall. You twist and push until you break free, then crawl back toward the center where it's warmer. Your mother shifts her weight and stands. Then she turns and moves toward the burrow entrance, leaving you and your sibling behind. Her steps fade and the burrow goes quiet. Skip forward a week and your eyes open for the first time. The walls around you are packed dirt and stone, and your sibling is already moving around the space with more confidence than you. A moment later, your mother appears at the entrance with grass hanging from her mouth. She drops it on the floor between you and your sibling, then turns and leaves again without stopping. Your sibling moves toward the pile first and starts pulling at the stems. You crawl forward and try to bite down on a piece, but your teeth can't cut through it yet. Your sibling shoves you aside with one paw and drags the biggest clump away from you. Then something vibrates through the ground. It's faint at first, but grows heavier with each pulse. You stop moving and press flat against the floor. Your sibling does the same. The vibrations pass overhead and fade into the distance, but your mother doesn't come back. The grass pile sits between you, and the entrance stays empty. You wait there in the half-light, listening to your sibling chew. You don't know what's out there yet, but soon you'll have to find out. You're 3 weeks old now, and the burrow feels smaller every time you move. Your sibling is already near the entrance, and you can hear short, high-pitched calls coming from outside. You need to see what's out there, so you push toward the light and squeeze through the opening onto a rocky slope. The sky stretches out above you further than anything you've seen before. Your sibling is a few body lengths away, already pulling at fresh vegetation with its teeth. You take a few steps forward, testing the ground with each movement. Then a shadow sweeps across the rocks in front of you, making you freeze in place. Your sibling bolts toward a crack between two stones and disappears inside. You flatten yourself against the nearest boulder and stay completely still. The shadow circles overhead once, then twice, before it finally moves past the ridge and disappears. You wait until nothing moves above you, then you walk toward a patch of grass growing between the rocks. You bite down on a stem and pull, tearing it free from the ground. That's your first real meal outside the burrow. You chew through it quickly, then reach for another. Your mother comes out from a different entrance on the far side of the slope. She makes a sharp call that cuts through the air, so you stop moving and stay where you are. A pika you've never seen before appears on a rock nearby. It's larger than your mother and moves toward her with its body low to the ground. Your mother charges straight at it, and they collide in the space between two boulders. They push and bite at each other for a few seconds before the stranger turns and runs back across the slope. Your mother watches it go, then turns and walks back toward her entrance. You and your sibling both move toward the burrow and slip back inside. The territory is yours for now, but staying fed means going back out there. Skip forward a bit, and you're 2 months old now. You've been going outside every day, and each trip feels easier than the last. Your mother is on the slope ahead of you, doing something you haven't seen before. She's biting through grass stems and carrying them back in bundles that look too big for her mouth. Then she drops them on a flat section of rock and goes back for more. You need to understand what she's doing, so you move closer and watch her make another trip. She places the new bundle on top of the others, building a pile that's already twice the size of your body. You walk to a patch of grass nearby and bite down on a stem, but it's tougher than the ones you've been eating. You pull harder, and it finally tears free. Then you pick it up and carry it toward the pile your mother started. Your sibling appears from the other side of the slope with a bundle that's much larger than yours. It drops the grass on the pile and turns back without looking at you. You go back to the patch and try again, this time grabbing 3 stems at once before biting through them. That's when something moves between the rocks to your left. It's long and brown, and it's coming straight toward you. You drop the grass and run, but the weasel is faster than anything you've seen before. You spot a crack between 2 boulders ahead and dive through the opening just as the weasel's teeth snap shut behind you. The space is too narrow for it to follow, but it pushes its head into the gap and tries to force its way through. You press yourself against the back wall and stay completely still. After a few seconds, the weasel pulls back and leaves. You wait inside the crack until your legs stop shaking. Then you carefully move back toward the entrance and look out. Your cut grass is scattered across the rocks. Winter is coming, and you'll need more than a few stems to survive it. You're 6 months old now, and your mother has stopped coming back to the burrow you share with your sibling. You're cutting grass on your own section of the slope when your sibling walks straight toward the patch you're working on. They lower their head and start biting through the same stems you were about to take. You need this grass for your own pile, so you move forward and push against their shoulder with your head. They push back harder, and both of you rise up on your back legs. Your sibling is slightly bigger than you, so they force you backward across the rocks until you lose your balance and drop down. You turn away and move to a different area further down the slope. The grass here is just as thick, but you're outside the territory you know. You start cutting through several stems at once, working faster than before. Then another pika appears from behind a boulder. It's not your mother or your sibling. It's a full-grown adult, and it charges at you the moment it sees you. You try to run back uphill, but the other pika is much faster and cuts off your path. It bites down on your side just below your front leg, making you stumble and roll down the rocky slope. You hit the ground hard, scramble back to your feet, and sprint toward your home territory as fast as you can move. Your sibling is still there when you get back, but this time they just watch you run past without moving toward you. You both both stay in the same area for the rest of the day, and neither of you tries to push the other one out. Something has changed between you. You're still competing for the same grass and the same space, but now you both understand that the real threats live outside your shared ground. You'll need your own territory soon, and someone else is already living on it. You're 10 months old now, and snow has started covering the rocks and grass across the entire slope. Your hay pile is much smaller than the ones your mother and sibling built, because you didn't collect enough before the snow arrived. You need to make it last, so you retreat into your burrow and start eating from the pile you stored inside. Days go by, and you only come out for short periods to check the area and leave droppings near the entrance. Your stored grass is disappearing faster than you expected, so you eat less with each trip to the pile. After a few more days, you look at what's left and realize it won't be enough to last until the snow melts. You need more food, so you leave the burrow and move across the snow toward your siblings' territory. Their hay pile is twice the size of yours and sits out in the open on top of a flat rock. You move closer and grab a mouthful of grass from the edge of the pile, then turn to leave. Your sibling bursts out of their burrow entrance and charges straight at you across the snow. You drop the grass and run, but they stay right behind you. Your front foot slips on a patch of ice, making you tumble forward and hit the ground hard. Your sibling catches up and bites down on your ear before you can get back up. You twist your head and break free, then scramble to your feet and sprint back toward your own territory. Your ear is torn and bleeding down the side of your face. You go straight into your burrow and press yourself against the wall. The bleeding slows down over the next few hours, but the wound stays open. You go back to your hay pile and eat even less than before, stretching out what you have left. Spring will come eventually, if you make it that long. Skip forward, and you're 1 year old now. The snow has melted and fresh grass is growing everywhere across the slope. Your body has changed in ways you don't fully understand, and you keep hearing calls from other pikas that sound more urgent than anything you've heard before. A female appears at the far edge of your territory. You need to get closer to her, so you move forward slowly while making soft calls. She stays where she is and doesn't run. You walk right up to her and touch her nose with yours for just a moment. Then she turns and starts moving across the rocks, so you follow behind her. That's when another male comes out from between two boulders. He's much larger than you and moves straight toward you without slowing down. You try to hold your ground, but he slams into your side with enough force to knock you off your feet. You hit the rocks hard and roll once before stopping. You get back up and try to face him, but he charges again and hits you in the same spot. This time, the impact throws you backward into a boulder, making pain shoot through your ribs with every breath you take. The other male doesn't wait for you to recover. He turns away from you and moves toward the female instead. She watches him come closer, and when he reaches her, she stays still and lets him touch her nose. You pull yourself up and move back toward your own territory, staying low to the ground. Your ribs hurt with every step, but you keep moving until you reach your burrow. You go inside and press yourself against the wall, breathing slowly until the pain becomes easier to handle. Your body will heal over the next few weeks. There will be other chances, but next time, you'll need to be stronger. You're 2 years old now, and you've claimed a section of the slope that sits between two large rock formations. Your hay pile from last winter was big enough to get you through the entire season, so now you're building an even larger one for the winter that's coming. You work from the moment you wake up until the sun drops behind the peaks, cutting grass and carrying it back in bundles that get heavier with each trip. You've learned exactly how to bite through multiple stems at once, and how to carry the most grass possible without dropping any. A younger pika wanders onto your territory while you're working, so you need to protect what's yours. You charge straight at them and chase them back across the rocks until they disappear past the boundary line. A few hours later, you're harvesting near the edge of your range when you spot movement between the boulders below. A fox is walking through the rocks, with its head low to the ground. You need to stay hidden, so you freeze in place and don't move a single muscle. The fox stops and sniffs the air, then turns and walks in your direction. It comes within 2 body lengths of where you're standing. You stay completely still while it passes right by you, and your fur matches the color of the granite so perfectly that the fox doesn't see you at all. It continues moving down the slope and disappears behind a ridge. You wait until you can't see it anymore, then you quickly grab the grass you just cut and carry it back to your territory. Your hay pile is now the largest one in this entire section of the mountain, bigger than your mother's and bigger than your siblings. You've built something that can get you through the harshest part of winter, and you've proven you can defend it from anyone who tries to take it. You've survived 2 full winters already, and this one will test whether you can survive a third. You're 3 years old now, and you've made it through 2 full winters on your own. You're outside your burrow, eating fresh grass that's growing between the rocks when something changes. A vibration moves through the ground beneath your feet, faint at first, but growing stronger with each passing second. You look up the slope and see the snow breaking loose high above you. The avalanche starts as a small crack, but it grows wider as it moves down the mountain, picking up rocks and debris with every meter it drops. You need to get away from it, so you turn and run straight toward your burrow entrance. But the ground is already shaking too hard for you to keep your balance. You change direction and try to run sideways across the slope instead, moving as fast as your legs can carry you. The wall of snow hits the rocks behind you and keeps coming, moving faster than anything you've ever seen before. It catches your back legs first and flips you forward into the snow. You tumble inside the mass with your body spinning in every direction, and you can't tell which way leads up or down anymore. The pressure builds around you, crushing in from all sides and filling your mouth and nose with snow. Then your body slams into something hard buried in the avalanche, and the impact knocks all the air out of your lungs. The snow keeps moving for a few more seconds before everything finally stops. You try to dig toward the surface, but the snow has packed solid around your entire body, and you can't move your legs at all. You can't breathe, and you can't see anything. Your legs stop responding to what you're trying to make them do, and your body goes still inside the snow. Above you, the mountain is quiet again, and somewhere nearby, another pika makes its warning call. That was the pika. Next is the raccoon. You are born blind in a cramped tree cavity, thrust into a harsh world, where you are forced into an exhausting, lifelong cycle of scavenging while dodging larger predators and deadly human traps. You're born blind, somewhere in the forests of North America, alongside two siblings. You can't see anything around you, so you push toward the warmth of your mother and find her. Then you feed, and for the next few weeks, that's all you do. Skip forward 3 weeks, and your eyes open for the first time. The den is a hollow in a tree trunk, and the entrance is just above you with a branch running across the outside of it. You want to get up there, so you start climbing the inside wall with your claws finding the bark and pulling you up slowly. But your back legs give out before you reach the top. So you slide all the way back down and land on your siblings. You shake them off and try again, this time making it far enough to hook your front paws over the entrance and pull your head out into the open. The branch outside is right there, so you reach for it, but your grip slips and you drop, falling from the trunk and landing on the ground below with your legs folding under you. You try to get up and start moving, but before you can go anywhere, your mother is already coming down the trunk head first with her body pressed flat against the bark. She picks you up by the scruff and carries you back up into the den, so you try again the next day. This time you make it out and wrap all 4 paws around the branch properly. You hang there for a moment, looking out at the trees, spreading away from you in every direction. And then your grip gives out again and you fall a second time. Your mother carries you back up without stopping. That's your first 2 days in the world. Skip forward a bit, and you're 8 weeks old now. Your mother takes you and your 2 siblings out of the den for the first time, moving down the trunk with her claws gripping the bark. So you follow her down the same way with your body pressed flat against the tree. She leads you all to a shallow stream nearby and wades straight in with her front paws pressing into the riverbed and pulling a crayfish out from under a rock. That's what you need to do, so you wade in after her and push your paws along the bottom trying to copy the same motion. But all you do is stir up mud, so you try pressing harder into the rocks and moving faster. Then a crayfish clamps onto your paw and you yank it back out of the water with your whole body pulling away from the sting. You watch your mother instead. She doesn't grab fast, she moves her paws slowly along the bottom until something shifts. Then she pins it before it can go anywhere. So you go back in and try it her way, moving slowly with your paws flat against the riverbed. It takes a long time, but eventually, something moves under your left paw and you press down hard. You pull it up and it's a crayfish, small but real. That's your first catch. Then one of your siblings wanders too far along the bank to where the current runs faster, and the water takes it off its feet and carries it a few body lengths downstream before your mother gets there and pulls it out by the scruff. After that, you all stay close to the bank where the water is low enough to stand in. You're learning fast, but your mother won't always be there to pull someone out. Soon you'll have to read the river yourself. Skip forward a bit, and you're 5 months old now. Your mother has started leaving you for longer stretches each day, so you've been covering more ground on your own. You find a bird's nest sitting in the fork of a branch about halfway up a tree, and you can see 2 eggs inside it, so you start climbing with your claws gripping the bark and pulling you up toward the fork. Then a blue jay drops out of the branches above, and strikes the back of your head with its beak, so you swipe at it with one paw and miss. It pulls up, circles, and comes straight back down at your face, so you duck into the trunk and start climbing from the other side of the tree trying to get around it. But it follows you around the trunk and strikes the back of your head again. Harder this time, making your grip loosen so you slide down a few inches before catching yourself. You try going higher from a different angle, reaching for a branch above the nest to come down onto it from above. But the jay gets to the branch first and strikes your paw before you can get your weight onto it, so your grip gives out and you drop all the way to the ground. You land in the brush below and stay there with your body flat against the roots, watching the jay up in the branches. After a while, it stops calling and moves off into the trees. So you go back up, the same route as before, and this time nothing comes at you. You reach the nest and take both eggs. That's your first real win on your own, with no mother nearby to step in. But further along the same branch, you spot deep scratch marks in the bark going all the way up the trunk, wider than anything your claws could make. Something bigger than you has been using this tree, and it wasn't after eggs. You're 8 months old now, and the trees have dropped most of their leaves. You're still moving every day because you need to eat enough to build up your body for the slower months ahead. So you follow a fallen log along the forest floor, with your claws pulling at the bark and tearing off chunks trying to get to what's inside. The bark splits open, and you find a packed row of grubs sitting in the wood. You start eating with your front paws, pulling them out one at a time. Then a Virginia opossum comes out from behind the log and walks straight toward your food. You stand up and hold your ground with your body pushed forward, trying to make it stop. But it keeps coming, so you swipe at it with one paw. It opens its mouth wide with every tooth pointing at you and holds that position. You swipe again, and it doesn't move, so you bite its tail. That's when it drops. Its whole body goes flat against the log with its legs out and its mouth still open, completely still. That's the first time you've seen anything do that, so you prod it a few times with your paw trying to get a reaction. Nothing happens. You prod it again. Still nothing. So you go back to the grubs and finish the rest of the log. A few minutes later, the opossum gets back up, looks at you, and walks away into the trees. That's the moment you learn that some animals will go completely still and let you walk away rather than actually fight, and waiting costs you nothing. You've handled the opossum, but the forest has other animals moving through it this time of year that won't play dead when you push them. One of them has been using the same stretch of riverbank you have, and sooner or later your paths will cross. You're 1 year old now and fully on your own for the first time. Spring has pushed the river over its banks, and fish are moving through the flooded ground between the trees. So you wade in with your body low and your front paws pressing flat against the muddy bottom. Working them slowly, the way you figured out as a kid. A fish cuts past your left paw and you press down fast, pinning it against the bottom and pulling it up with both paws together. Then you do it again, and a third time after that. 3 fish in a row. That's the best you've ever done. Then a river otter comes through the trees upstream and moves toward you with its whole body cutting through the water fast and low. You need to get off the ground before it reaches you. So you drop the fish and go straight up the nearest tree with your claws pulling you up the trunk in a few fast moves. The otter goes straight to the fish and takes all 3, then moves back upstream and disappears into the trees. So you come back down and walk the bank, checking the grass at the edge of the water. You find one small fish that had flipped out of the water and landed in the roots at the bank. You eat it there. That's all you get for the morning, but you're faster with your paws now than you've ever been, and your approach is more patient, so the fish don't move before you're already on top of them. The otter took your catch, because it's built for the water in a way you're not. But the riverbank is yours to work, and you're getting better at it every day. The problem is, you're not the only one who has figured that out. You're 2 years old now, and you've been working the same stretch of riverbank long enough to know every log, root, and rock along it. You have a food cache buried under the roots of a fallen oak near the water, and one morning you come back to it and find a male raccoon already there with his front paws pulling the roots apart trying to get to what's inside. You need him off your food. So you drop from the branch above him and land directly on his back with all 4 paws driving into him. He throws you sideways and you both get to your feet with your bodies low and your weight forward circling each other. He's heavier than you and wider across the shoulders, so every time he lunges, you give ground rather than take the hit straight on. He follows you toward the water with his body pushing forward, trying to back you into the bank. So you let him come. Then at the last second, you turn and rake your claws across his face with your full body weight behind the swing. He pulls back with his head going sideways and holds there, with his front paws planted and his eyes on you. Then he turns and walks back into the trees. 2 weeks later, a female moves through your stretch of bank and spends the whole day there without leaving. You watch her from the branches above, trying to decide if she's a problem. But she doesn't go near the cache, so you come down. You both move along the bank in the same direction without getting in each other's way, and after a few days that becomes the pattern. By early spring, she has picked the hollow in the fallen oak above your cache as her den, and there are 4 kits inside. You didn't plan any of that, but it happened, and now everything is about to get louder. You're 2.5 years old now, and the 4 kits have been out of the den for 3 days. They move in every direction at once with no sense of where the bank ends and the water starts. So you and your mate spend most of your time pulling them back from the edge rather than finding food. One kit walks straight off the bank and drops into the shallows. So you go in after it and drag it out by the scruff with your back legs pushing against the mud to get you both up onto dry ground. A few days later, you're leading all 4 of them along the bank when a great horned owl drops out of the branches above, with its talons coming straight down toward the smallest kit at the back of the group. You need to stop it before it locks on, so you throw yourself upward with both front paws swinging at its body. The hit connects hard enough to knock it sideways in the air, making its talons close on nothing, so it pulls up and goes back into the branches above. The kits scatter in 4 different directions. So you and your mate split up and spend the next 20 minutes tracking each one down and pushing it back toward the oak. By the time autumn comes, the kits are finding food on their own, with their paws working the bank the same way yours do. Then one by one over the following weeks, they move further along the river each day and stop coming back. That's how it ends. Your mate goes back to the den in the oak and you follow her. The bank is quiet again, but the next spring she'll be ready to go again and so will you. You've held this stretch of river for 3 years now, but the further you push beyond it, the less you know what's out there waiting. You're 5 years old now. A ground squirrel has been digging into the same log you cache food under for 3 days in a row, pulling out what you stored and taking it back to its burrow. So today, you follow it across the open field at the edge of your range to push it out of the habit. It drops into its burrow before you can get close enough, so you drop to your front paws and start pulling at the entrance with your claws, trying to widen it enough to reach inside. Then your body goes still on its own. A coyote is standing in the field 10 feet behind you with its weight already forward and its eyes on you. You need to get to the tree line, so you turn and move toward the nearest tree at the far edge of the field with your body low and your legs driving hard. But a second coyote steps out from behind the tree before you reach it, cutting you off and pushing you back toward the middle of the field. You turn toward the burrow instead, trying to get enough ground between you and both of them to find another way out, but they split apart with one circling wide to your left and the other holding its line on your right. So every direction you take, they close the gap on the other side. You spin and rake your claws across the face of the one on your left as it comes in, making it pull back for a second. But the one on your right is already moving, and it hits you from behind before you can turn to face it. You go down with your claws still out and your body still fighting. The ground squirrel comes up from its burrow a few minutes later, looks across the field, and goes back underground. That was the raccoon. Next is the giant anteater. You are born with absolutely zero defenses, forced to ride tightly on your mother's back in a desperate attempt to blend in and avoid being picked off by stalking jaguars. You slide out of your mother onto her back, somewhere in South America. Your eyes are barely open, and you can't see much, but your claws grip into her thick fur and lock in place. Then, your mother stands and starts walking, and you feel her body shift beneath you with each step. You need to hold on or you'll fall, so you press your claws in deeper and flatten yourself against her. She moves through tall grass that brushes against your side, and the rhythm of her walking rocks you back and forth. You adjust your grip every few seconds, trying to stay balanced while she keeps moving forward without slowing down. That's when another anteater appears ahead, blocking her path. It's a male, and he steps closer with his head low and his claws scraping the ground. Your mother stops walking. Then, she rears up on her hind legs with you still clinging to her back, and you grip even tighter to avoid sliding off. She slashes her claws forward in a wide arc, and the male steps back and watches her. She slashes again, this time closer to his face, and he turns and walks away into the grass without looking back. Your mother drops back down onto all fours, and the sudden movement almost shakes you loose, but your claws hold, and after a moment she starts walking again like nothing happened. You don't know how long you'll need to stay like this, but right now you can't survive anywhere else. Your claws aren't strong enough to dig, and your legs can't hold your weight for more than a few seconds. So you hold on and your mother keeps walking. You're 3 weeks old now, and you're still riding on your mother's back everywhere she goes. She stops at a termite mound and starts tearing into it with her claws, ripping chunks of dried mud away and exposing the tunnels inside. Then, she pushes her long tongue into the holes over and over, pulling it back covered in termites each time before swallowing and going again. You watch from her back as she moves to another mound a few steps away. This time you need to try it yourself, so you slide down her side and land on the ground beside her. Your legs wobble, but they hold, so you move toward the mound and raise your front claws. You try to dig into the surface like she did, but your claws just scrape across the mud without breaking through. You try again, pushing harder, but nothing happens. That's when termites start coming out of the holes your mother made. Some of them are soldiers, and they move straight toward you with their jaws open. They reach your paws and start biting, then more climb onto your face and latch on. You shake your head trying to knock them off, but they don't let go. So you turn and scramble back toward your mother, climbing up her leg and onto her back again while shaking your paws. She keeps feeding like nothing happened, her tongue moving in and out of the mound, while you stay pressed against her. You stop shaking after a while and just watch her work, seeing how her claws break through and how her tongue moves. Your claws aren't strong enough yet to tear through the mounds, but they're growing every day, and eventually they'll be long enough to dig like hers. You're 3 months old now, and your claws have grown long enough to use. You're still riding on your mother's back when she stops at a fallen log covered in ants, and she starts tearing pieces away with her claws. This time, when she begins feeding, you need to try again, so you slide down and land beside the log on your own. You dig your claws into the rotting wood and pull, and the soft material breaks apart easily, exposing the ants inside. They start pouring out of the gap you made, so you push your tongue into the opening and pull it back with ants stuck to it. You swallow and do it again, and it works. That's your first real meal that you caught on your own. You keep feeding until the wood is torn apart and the ants stop coming out. Then you step back and look at what's left. But then, something moves in the grass nearby. A coyote comes out and walks toward the log with its nose low, trying to get closer to where you're standing. It wants the same food, so it keeps moving forward until it's only a few steps away. Your mother sees it and charges straight at it with her claws raised high. The coyote stops and watches her coming, then turns and runs back into the grass before she reaches it. She stops at the edge and watches it disappear, then walks back to the log and starts feeding again like nothing happened. You climb back onto her back and hold on while she finishes eating. You can feed yourself now, and your claws work the way they're supposed to. But you're not strong enough yet to fight off something that wants your food. Your mother still protects you from threats you can't handle, and without her, you wouldn't survive. Skip forward a bit, and you're 9 months old now. You're walking beside your mother instead of riding on her back, and she stops at a large termite mound and starts tearing it open. You need to feed too, so you move to a different mound, several steps away, and start digging into it with your claws. The termites come pouring out and you push your tongue inside, pulling it back covered in them before swallowing and going again. You keep feeding for a while, focused on the mound in front of you. Then, you hear something moving through the grass behind you. You turn and see a jaguar coming out of the grass with its body low to the ground, walking straight toward you. It's close enough that you can see its eyes locked on you. So you rear up on your hind legs like your mother taught you and slash your claws forward through the air. The jaguar stops and watches you, then starts moving to the side, trying to circle around you. You turn to keep facing it with your claws still raised, and it keeps circling slowly without looking away. But then, your mother appears beside you and rears up on her hind legs too. She's much bigger than you, and her claws are longer, so when she slashes forward, the jaguar takes a step back. It looks at both of you standing together, then turns and walks away into the grass without running. You stay on your hind legs until it's gone, then drop back down. Your mother drops down too and walks back to her mound, and you return to yours and start feeding again. Your claws made the jaguar stop, and that's the first time they've actually worked against something dangerous. But you're not strong enough to face a predator alone, not yet. Your mother's size is what made it leave. You're 1 year old now, and something has changed. You try to walk toward your mother like you've done every day since you were born, but she turns and swipes at you with her claws. They don't hit hard enough to hurt you, but they push you back and make you stop moving. You try again, stepping closer to follow her, but she charges at you with her claws raised, so you turn and run in the other direction. You stop after a few steps and look back, but she's already walking away through the grass without turning around. You watch her get smaller until she disappears completely, and then you're standing alone. You need to find food now, so you start walking in a different direction from where she went. After a while, you find a small colony of ants under a rock and tear into it with your claws, feeding until they're gone. Your stomach still feels empty, so you keep walking and search for another mound or log. But you don't find anything for hours. Eventually, you find a termite mound and break it open, feeding until the termites stop coming out. This time, your stomach feels full enough, but it took most of the day to find it. You're on your own now, and your mother isn't coming back to protect you or show you where to find food. You'll need to search for it yourself every day, and if you can't find enough, you won't survive. You're 2 years old now, and you've been feeding at the same termite mound for weeks. Today, you return and start tearing into it with your claws. That's when another anteater comes out of the grass and walks toward the mound. It's smaller than you and younger, but it moves straight to the other side and starts digging into the same mound you're feeding from. You need to protect this food source, so you stop eating and walk around to where it's standing. You swipe at it with your claws extended, and it sees you coming and rears up on its hind legs. So you rear up too, and both of you start slashing at each other with your front claws cutting through the air. Your claws connect with its shoulder and leave a deep scratch across its side, making it drop back down onto all fours. Then it turns and runs into the grass without looking back. You drop down and watch it disappear, then walk back to the mound and start feeding again. That's the first time you've defended something that belongs to you, and you won. This mound is in your territory now, and you'll keep coming back to it until there's nothing left. But eventually, something bigger than you will show up and try to take it. Skip forward a bit, and you're 4 years old now. You're walking through the grass when you pick up a trail, so you follow it for a while until you find a female anteater feeding at a fallen tree. She notices you but doesn't move away or raise her claws, so you walk toward her slowly. She stays still and keeps feeding while you get closer, and when you're beside her, she doesn't react. So you move in and mate with her, and the process is quick and simple. Then, she turns and starts walking away through the grass in one direction without stopping or looking back. You watch her leave until she disappears, then you turn and walk in the opposite direction. You'll never see her again, and you won't see any offspring that might come from this. There's no bond between you, and there's no reason to stay together. She'll raise the young on her own if there are any, and you'll keep moving through your territory alone like you always have. After a while, you find a termite mound and start feeding. Your life continues the same way it did before you mated, and nothing about your routine changes. You still search for food every day, and you still defend your territory when another anteater tries to take it. You'll keep walking through the same areas, tearing open the same mounds, and sleeping in the same spots. And if you encounter another female in the future, the same thing will happen again. But for now, you're alone, and that's how you'll stay. You're 7 years old now, and you're feeding at a termite mound like you've done thousands of times before. Your tongue moves in and out of the holes, pulling termites back into your mouth with each motion. You're deep into the mound with your claws still buried in the mud, focused on the food in front of you. Then, you hear something moving through the grass behind you. But you don't stop feeding. You've scared off threats before by rearing up and slashing your claws, so you keep your tongue working while the sound gets closer. But this time, a puma rushes out of the grass faster than anything you've faced before. You pull your head back and rear up on your hind legs with your claws raised high, then slash forward trying to hit it. But the puma drops low and moves under your strike before you can adjust, and it clamps its jaws onto your throat before you can swing again. You try to slash at its body with your claws, but your movements start getting slower and weaker with each attempt. Your legs stop holding your weight properly, so you drop back down onto all fours and then tip sideways. You hit the ground and stay there while your legs stop moving completely. The puma keeps its grip on your throat for a while longer, then lets go and starts dragging your body through the grass away from the mound. It pulls you into a thicker section where the grass is tall enough to hide you completely, then stops. You defended yourself the same way you always had, by rearing up and using your claws to drive threats away. It worked against other anteaters, and it made the jaguar leave when your mother stood beside you. But this time, the puma was faster than you expected, and it got under your defense before you could stop it. Your claws were strong enough to protect you for 7 years, but this time, they weren't enough. That was the giant anteater. Next is the maned wolf. You are born hidden in the tall, unforgiving grasslands, completely defenseless against fast-moving wildfires and stalking pumas, while your parents are forced to leave you alone for hours to scavenge. You slip out of your mother and land hard on the ground next to your sibling. As soon as you see him, you immediately start crawling towards your mother to steal all the milk. But as you're about to start drinking, he pushes you and both of you fall down. You get up, and so does he. You start pushing each other and falling as your legs aren't working properly and all you can do is crawl. Then something heavy steps in the distance. The vibrations of the footsteps make both of you freeze. Just as you think you're going to get eaten, your father approaches with a dead rabbit in his mouth. He drops it next to your mother and leaves to find another one for himself. Your mother turns from you and starts eating, leaving you and your brother alone. For the next few days, that is how you live. Eating, sleeping, pushing each other for milk while your father keeps returning with food, and your mother never leaves the den for long. 2 weeks later, your legs finally get strong enough to hold you. So you follow your mother outside for the first time. While she pulls at a carcass, you wander off. At first, you only chase shadows in the grass, but then you see a bird pecking at the ground nearby. You walk closer, and the bird suddenly flaps its wings. The noise is so loud you panic and fall backwards. The bird hops once more, stretching its wings as if ready to strike. Your mother rushes from the carcass, growls, and the bird flies away into the distance. She picks you up by the scruff and drops you back near your sibling. That is your first real lesson. Even harmless animals are stronger than you for now, and without your parents you wouldn't last in the wild. But soon, your parents won't feed you, and you'll need to learn how to hunt for yourself. Skip forward and you're 3 months old now. You're old enough to finally go out hunting with your father. Your sibling walks next to you. The two of you copy every move that your father does, learning how to stalk without being seen. Ahead of you, a young capybara feeds alone with its nose buried in a bush. Your father spots it and lowers his body. Then he starts walking towards it, while both of you stay back waiting for him to catch it. But before he can, the bush explodes with movement. A jaguar bursts through, slamming into the capybara and crushing its skull as he picks it up by the head. He drops the capybara and starts eating in silence. But then, he smells something and immediately lifts his head. His eyes lock onto your father. That's just a few meters in front of him. Your father freezes, staring straight at the jaguar. Neither of them move at first. They just watch each other with the dead capybara lying between them. Then the jaguar crouches low and growls. Your father knows he can't win, but he also knows you and your sibling are right behind him. He steps forward anyway, growling back to block the jaguar from reaching you. The jaguar launches and slams into him. They roll across the dirt, snapping the jaws at each other. Their bodies twist as both of them struggle to finish the fight. Your father bites hard and kicks, but the jaguar is heavier and stronger. It pins him to the ground and drives its teeth into his neck. He kicks once more, then goes still. You and your sibling don't wait. You turn and run, crashing through the bushes until you find your mother. She looks at you both and knows instantly. Her mate, the one she lived with for years, isn't coming back. And from now on, it's just her and the two of you. You're 8 months old now. Your legs are longer and your body leaner, but you still follow your mother with your sibling close beside you. The three of you cross into new territory, a stretch of grassland broken by scattered trees. The scent here is weird. Another male has marked this place. Your mother pauses with her ears up, but then she keeps moving. After a couple of minutes walking, a male maned wolf finally catches up to you. He's much bigger than your mother. He looks at you and doesn't hesitate. He charges straight at you and your sibling. Your mother slams into him before he can reach you. They snap and bite, twisting around each other in the grass. She lunges for his shoulder, but he shakes her off and knocks her to the ground. You growl and stumble back as he looks at you with his teeth showing. For a moment you think he's going to kill you, but your mother pushes herself back up and bites his back leg. He turns fast and grabs her face, forcing her to the ground with his weight. She kicks once, then stops moving because she knows she can't win. You and your sibling freeze. She lifts her head with blood on her mouth and looks at you both. Then she lowers herself to the dirt and doesn't fight anymore. The male lets go. He circles the clearing and rubs his scent on a bush before turning back. Your mother stays low as he climbs on her, forcing her down while you and your sibling stand close together silently watching. When it's done, the male stands tall and watches you. He doesn't chase you away. He just turns and walks back where he came from, leaving the three of you together. This is his land and he made it clear. You can live here as long as you accept him as the one in control. Skip forward again and you're 1 year old now. It's finally the time to leave your mother, so you walk for hours until you can't smell her scent anymore. Your first day alone is quiet, and you wander through the forest searching for food. The air smells familiar, and before long you stumble onto the place where you were born. But your sibling is already there. He's bigger now and standing tall near the old den. You step closer, but he snaps at you and makes it clear you're not welcome here. You don't want to fight, so you back away and leave. A few days pass and your stomach feels tighter every morning. You finally find a rabbit after hours of searching. It sat resting near a log, so you lower yourself into the grass ready to move in. You think that this will be your first meal since you left your mother, but before you're close enough, it suddenly wakes up after smelling you and bolts. Hours later, the smell of rot drifts through the trees, so you follow it until you find the body of an armadillo on the ground. A massive vulture stands on top of it, tearing at the shell. You freeze as he looks straight at you. For a moment, you think you will need to kill him somehow, but then he spreads his wings and lifts into the air, leaving the carcass behind. You rush in and eat what's left. It isn't much, but it fills your stomach and keeps you alive. This is your first meal on your own, and you know you'll have to get better if you want to survive. You're 2 years old now. For the past few weeks, you've been feeding on rats, but they barely fill you up anymore. You've tried your luck with wild guinea pigs, but every time you get close, they hear you and sprint away before you can catch them. You need something bigger, or you won't last much longer. That's when you remember your father, the way he used to stalk capybaras near the water. You decide to try the same, so you walk to a nearby pond and wait until you smell them. A group is feeding on the bank with their heads down in the grass. They don't look dangerous, so you step closer. One of them lifts his head and stares straight at you. He doesn't flinch or run. He just stands there watching. You show your teeth and walk towards him, but instead of fighting, he simply turns around and starts walking away from you. At that moment, you realize how chill that guy is. You follow thinking he's too calm to care. As he reaches the edge, you lunge and bite into his back leg before he can slip in. He kicks, and in that same second, the water explodes. A crocodile surges out, with its jaws open wide. But instead of going for the capybara, it snaps at you. You let go and run back into the grass while the crocodile drags itself a few steps after you. When it stops, you turn and look. The capybara is floating in the water right beside the crocodile, and the crocodile doesn't even touch it. You can't believe what you're seeing. The animal you tried to hunt is safe, and the one that almost killed you just leaves it alone. Shaking, you back away from the pond and disappear into the trees. You decide to never hunt capybaras again. They are just too chill. Skip forward once more and you're 4 years old now. The grasslands stretch wide in every direction, and you've started to make them yours. You walk the edges and rub your scent into the trees, marking every corner so no other wolf dares to step here. It feels good knowing this place belongs to you. One morning, as you walk along the border, a strange smell drifts across the breeze. It's not yours. Someone has been here, so you lower your head and follow it through the grass until the trail grows stronger. Then you see him. A maned wolf stands in the clearing, tall and lean with his ears forward. But he isn't just some intruder. You know him. It's your brother. You step closer and growl, telling him to leave, but he doesn't move. He snaps at you with his teeth showing. He's not going anywhere. You circle, your tails brushing the grass as the space between you shrinks. Then you both leap. The fight is fast and rough. Teeth clash and your bodies slam together. He scrapes your side and you bite into his shoulder. He stumbles, but comes back throwing his weight against you. You hold your ground and bite harder, shaking until you feel him weaken. Then he falls to the dirt. You could leave him to crawl away and maybe survive, but you don't. You close your jaws on his throat and press until he goes still. When it's done, you stand over him in silence. Your stomach is empty and now there's meat in front of you, so you start eating his body where it fell. When you're done, you stand up knowing this land belongs to you and only you. You're 6 years old now, stronger than you've ever been. Your legs are longer and your chest is wider. This is your physical peak. In the forest, you spot a large deer lowering its head to drink from a puddle between the trees. You crouch low and move through the grass. When it finally notices, you launch forward. The deer bolts, crashing through the bushes, but you don't chase. You've been watching it for days. You already know where it will run. You cut across the clearing and get there first. The deer bursts from the bushes and you jump. Your jaws close on its neck and drag it down. It kicks twice before going still. You eat fast, tearing strips of meat until your belly is full. Then you see her. A female maned wolf standing just beyond the trees. She doesn't move. She just watches you eat. You stare back, waiting for her to challenge you, but she doesn't. Instead of growling, you grab a chunk of meat in your mouth and walk over. You drop it at her feet. She lowers her head and eats, chewing fast like she hasn't eaten in days. When she's done, she doesn't leave. She stays near you, lying down in the grass. For the first time in years, you're not alone. Skip forward and you're 7 years old now. Your mate gave birth not long ago and the pups are still small. She stays in the den keeping them safe while you hunt to bring food back. Today you manage to catch a rabbit after a short chase. You hold it in your jaws and start walking through the forest. Life feels perfect. You have a mate, pups, and food to feed them. But then you stop. Something is wrong. The smell on the path makes you freeze. It's sharp and all too familiar. You drop the rabbit and step closer. On the ground ahead lies one of your pups. The small body is torn apart with the head ripped clean off. You don't move at first. You just stare, the shock holding you still. Then you push forward, desperate to reach the den. Branches scrape your sides as you run. When you arrive, the scene is worse than you imagined. Your mate is lying on the ground, her fur soaked in blood. Deep wounds cover her body, and her eyes no longer move. Beside her is your second pup, dead just like the first. You lower your head trying to process the situation when you see a movement. A shadow steps into the den. It's massive, heavier than anything you can fight. It's a male jaguar, the same jaguar that killed your father. You growl and step forward, ready to take revenge even if it kills you. But he doesn't see you as a threat. He crouches low, then launches forward. One strike of his paw is enough. His claws tear through your neck and your head hits the dirt. Your body twitches once, then goes still. The jaguar walks past you without looking back. That was the maned wolf. Next is the duck. You hatch into a world where almost everything wants to eat you. Forced to immediately jump into freezing water and paddle for your life while predatory fish strike from below and eagles dive bomb from above. You burst into the world, cracking open your shell in a pile of siblings and immediately regret it. 1 second, you're safe and warm inside your egg, and the next, you're wet, shivering, and lying in a mess that smells vaguely like feet. Mom barely looks at you before moving on. Welcome to the pond, where no one cares. Your first task is to figure out how to walk. Easier said than done when you're stuck with legs that look like someone glued pancakes to the ends. You try to walk forward, tripping over every stick and rock in your path, but your mom's already walking away. And if you don't keep up, that's on you. You finally make it to the water's edge and the cold hits you like a slap. But there's no time for hesitation. Mom is not waiting, and your siblings are already shoving past you like it's a race. You plop in, and congratulations, you're swimming. Well, sort of. It turns out floating is the easy part. But staying alive? Not so much. The pond might look calm, but beneath the surface, it's a free-for-all death trap. Mom doesn't seem too concerned. She's busy looking for her next meal while you and your siblings figure out how not to drown. You paddle around awkwardly, your tiny legs kicking furiously, trying to stay close to the group. But the second you let your guard down, a shadow glides over the pond. A hawk. Everyone freezes. Mom quacks an alarm and the group scatters. You dive underwater, your heart pounding, and stay there until your lungs feel like they're going to explode. When you finally resurface, the hawk is gone. For now, at least. Once you've survived your first swim, it's time to eat. Spoiler, ducks don't exactly have many options. You shove your face into the water hoping to scoop up something edible and come up with a mouthful of slimy algae. Just yum. It tastes like soggy grass clippings with a hint of pond mud, but you choke it down anyway. What else are you going to do? Starve? Not on your watch. You try again, determined to find something better, but your next bite is somehow worse. It's part algae, part mud, and part whatever that is. That's when you realize that food is less about flavor and more about survival. There's no time to be picky. If it fits in your bill, you eat it. Of course, your siblings make this process even harder. The second you manage to scoop up something halfway decent, one of them is already there, snatching it out of your bill like a little feathery thief. You're outraged, but they don't care. Sharing? Not in this family. The rules are simple. Grab fast, eat faster, and don't let your siblings catch you hesitating, because hesitation equals hunger. Fights over food are inevitable. Someone pecks you for accidentally swimming too close, and suddenly it's an all-out brawl over a piece of soggy pondweed that wasn't even that great to begin with. You'd think the fights would be dignified, but no. They involve a lot of shoving, flapping, and poorly aimed pecks, and they almost always end with everyone muddy, no one full, and the pondweed sinking to the bottom where no one can get it. You try to get strategic. Maybe if you sneak off to a quieter part of the pond, you can eat in peace. Bold move, but unfortunately, the quiet part of the pond doesn't have more food. It just has fewer witnesses when a predator decides to attack you. As if fighting your siblings over scraps wasn't bad enough, you've also got predators to worry about. The list is long and terrifying. Foxes, raccoons, snapping turtles, hawks, and even the occasional snake. If it moves and it's bigger than you, it's probably trying to eat you. One day, you're pecking at the water's edge, trying to grab a bug, when a snapping turtle bursts out of the water. It lunges, its jaws snapping so close to your legs you can feel the rush of air, but the stupid thing misses. You're not sure how, and you're definitely not going to stick around to ask. You got lucky this time. Before you can even figure out what to do next, Mom charges in. She's flapping her wings and quacking like she's about to throw it down with the turtle. The turtle stops for a second, probably realizing this whole thing isn't worth the effort, and slides back into the water like it wasn't just trying to eat you. Mom gives you a shove and you stumble back toward the group. You can tell she's annoyed, probably thinking, how did I raise something this dumb? Meanwhile, you can't stop staring at the water, expecting that stupid turtle to pop back out at any second. You spend the rest of the day staying as far from the edge as possible, wondering how many more of these near-death experiences you're going to have to survive. By a few weeks old, your cute yellow fluff starts falling out, replaced by patchy feathers that make you look like a walking disaster. You're not exactly winning any beauty contests, and your siblings don't let you forget it. Pecking matches become a daily occurrence, and no one holds back. One wrong move, and you're getting shoved into the mud. And then there are the geese. Big, mean, and loud. They show up uninvited and make it their mission to ruin your day. They stomp around, honking at everyone and biting anything that moves. Mom tries to stand her ground, but even she knows when to back off. The geese take over the best spots, steal the best food, and leave you with whatever scraps they couldn't be bothered to eat. It's humiliating. At around 6 to 8 weeks old, you learn that flying is not a talent you're born with. It's a skill. And like all skills, you do it badly at first. Mom watches while you and your siblings make your first attempts. You flap your wings, push off the ground, and immediately crash. You do it again, this time managing to get a few inches of lift before hitting the dirt harder than you expected. No one's clapping. You keep at it because there's no alternative. Your wings hurt, your legs are tired, and every attempt ends with a humiliating thud. You even start wondering if walking was really all that bad. But by the end of week 8, something clicks. You manage to stay airborne long enough to actually go somewhere. You do figure out how to land, though landing might be too generous of a word. It's more of a controlled stumble. Flying isn't glamorous, but it's functional now, and that's what counts. At 8 weeks old, you leave mom, or rather you do what every young duck does. Get out of her way. She's not waiting around for you, and you're definitely not her problem anymore. So off you go, ready or not, to start life on your own. You do what you must to survive. You move from pond to pond, hunting for food that hasn't already been picked over by older, stronger ducks. You do your best to eat whatever you find, bugs, weeds, or anything vaguely edible. Some days it's enough to keep you going. Other days you wonder if this independence thing was really worth it. You also do your best not to get eaten. You learn quickly that any rustle in the bushes or shadow on the water is your cue to dive, run, or take off if you've got the energy for it. You don't always succeed, but you're still here, which is all the proof you need that you're doing something right. Social life doesn't exist. Sure, you might stick near other ducks your age, but only because predators are less likely to pick you off in a group. No one's chatting or bonding. This isn't a social club. It's an unspoken agreement to make someone else the easier target. As for romance, you should just forget it. The older ducks ignore you, and the younger ones are just as ugly as you are. You're not in anyone's top picks, and frankly, you don't have the energy to care. You do adapt though. Each day teaches you something new, like where to find better food, how to avoid predators, and which ponds to avoid altogether. And then winter hits. It turns out that ponds freeze, bugs vanish, and every blade of grass worth eating has already been picked clean. You spend your days digging through snow and mud for scraps. At nights, you're crammed under bushes, shivering and hoping nothing with teeth or claws notices you. The smart ducks, the ones who decided to migrate, are somewhere warm, floating on sunny ponds, eating whatever they please, but not you. You missed that opportunity. Maybe you didn't get the memo, or maybe you just weren't ready to make the trip. Either way, you're stuck here, living in the frozen wasteland you once called home. Food becomes an abstract concept. You eat whatever you can find. Half-frozen weeds, the occasional dead insect, and, if you're lucky, some seeds that haven't been buried under ice. But this is not enough. You lose weight, your feathers look worse than ever, and every morning you wake up surprised you made it through the night. Every predator out there knows winter makes things desperate. Foxes and raccoons patrol the frozen edges of ponds like they're waiting for a free meal. You do everything you can to stay out of their way, but you can't hide forever. Most of the younger ducks don't make it. You see their feathers in the snow and try not to think about how close you are to being next. But somehow, you survive. Spring eventually shows up, late as always, and with it comes a little hope. The ice melts, the bugs return, and you finally start eating enough to feel alive again. But you're thinner, weaker, and more tired than you've ever been. Eventually, you do what every duck does. You find a mate. It's not romantic or anything, but you meet a duck you don't actively dislike, and that's enough. The two of you stick together, searching for food, avoiding predators, and dealing with the endless chaos of pond life. For the first time, things don't feel quite so miserable. You spend time preening each other's feathers and floating together in the sunlight. It's nice. Peaceful, even. One day, you're sitting by the water, admiring your partner as they nibble at some grass. You catch yourself thinking, hey, maybe this whole survival thing isn't so bad. And then it happens. A blur of orange and teeth explodes from the bushes. Before you can react, the fox is on your wife, tearing into her like they're the special of the day. You freeze, watching in horror as it rips her head clean off. There's no time to mourn. The fox turns to you next. You flap your wings, try to take off, but you're too slow. The fox grabs you, and it's over. After all the fights, all the winters, and all the near-death experiences, this is how it ends. That was the duck. Next is the Arctic wolf. You are born blind and deaf in a frozen dirt hole, stepping out into a desolate wasteland where you must chase down prey 10 times your size just to survive the winter. You're born in a hole in the snow. It's cramped, dark, and cold. Your mom is curled around you and your siblings, but she's exhausted. She's been running on empty stomach for weeks, hunting, digging this den, and keeping herself alive long enough to get you here. The wind howls outside, and the snow presses in on all sides, but you don't notice yet. And that's because you're totally blind. Your only instinct is to crawl closer to your mom and fight for the best spot. You're already competing with your siblings, even though none of you can stand yet. You're small and at the bottom of the Arctic food chain, and you have no idea that it's only going to get worse from here. Your so-called family looks like this. There's one alpha pair, your mom and your dad, and they run the whole show. Your dad is the dominant male, and he's in charge of protecting the pack's territory, leading the hunts, and making sure no one steps out of line. Your mom is the lead female. She raises the pups and holds just as much authority as your dad when it comes to keeping the pack together. Then there are the subordinates, 3 other wolves. They're adults, but they're not in charge. They're the hunters and babysitters, doing whatever your parents tell them to do. They don't eat until the alphas have had their fill, and they stay in the pack because it's safer than being out in the Arctic alone. The pack has a strict pecking order, and you're at the very bottom of it. No one's going to listen to you, and no one's going to take care of you except your mom, and even that's conditional. If the pack has to choose between you and survival, you're not going to like their decision. This is the Arctic. There's no room for sympathy here. For now, though, the pack tolerates your existence. Your dad patrols the territory, marking the borders and making sure no rival wolves or predators get too close. Your mom stays close to the den, keeping you and your siblings alive. The other wolves bring back food, but it's barely enough to go around. The pack eats first, and whatever scraps are left might make it to your mom, if she's lucky. And if she's lucky, you'll get what's left of what's left. The pack isn't a family in the human sense. It's a survival unit. Everyone has a role, and yours, right now, is to stay alive without slowing them down. No one is going to save you if you fall behind. The sooner you figure that out, the better. After a couple of weeks, your eyes open. The world is bright and cold, and the Arctic wind doesn't care that you're still figuring out how to exist. You crawl out of the den for the first time and immediately regret it. The snow is everywhere, under your paws, in your fur, and in your face. You don't understand why your siblings are so excited to explore. They're bigger than you, stronger than you, and better at shoving you aside. The adults don't pay attention to you. They're too busy doing important things like scanning the horizon for threats or returning from hunts with scraps of meat. You're still entirely dependent on your mom, but she's got 4 mouths to feed and barely enough food to do it. The pack eats first, and the scraps are picked clean before you even get a sniff. You try to chew on frozen bones, but it's more effort than it's worth. When the pack moves, you follow, even though you're not built for it yet. Your legs are weak, your paws sink into the snow, and you fall behind constantly. Your mom stops to nudge you forward, but it's not kindness, it's practicality. A dead pup is a waste, and the pack can't afford to waste anything. Every time she pushes you forward, you feel smaller and weaker. You start to understand that no one is going to carry you. Eventually, the pack decides it's time for you to learn the basics of survival. They take you and your siblings out to watch the adults hunt. You don't get an explanation. You're just expected to watch and figure it out. The first target is a hare. The adults spread out, silent and deliberate, while you and your siblings stay behind. You're supposed to stay quiet, but you're hungry, impatient, and bad at following orders. The hare hears you before anyone moves, and it bolts. Your dad glares at you, and your mom doesn't even look in your direction. The pack regroups and moves on, leaving you to stumble after them. The next few hunts are no better. You try to copy the adults, crouching low and stalking through the snow, but you're too loud and too clumsy. Prey escapes every time, and the pack doesn't bother hiding their frustration. You're eating less and less now, and the gap between you and your siblings is starting to show. They're growing faster, getting stronger, and learning how to contribute, while you're still trailing behind. Winter comes, and it's worse than you imagined. The cold is constant, and the snow never seems to stop falling. Food is scarcer than ever, and the pack is constantly on the move, searching for anything to eat. You're forced to follow, even when your legs are numb and your stomach feels like it's caving in on itself. The adults manage to bring down a caribou one day, but by the time you get there, it's nothing but bones. You gnaw on what's left, trying to convince yourself you're full. The pack doesn't slow down. You keep moving, even though every step feels like it might be your last. The nights are the worst. The pack huddles together for warmth, and you're shoved to the outside. The wind cuts through your fur, and you shiver until morning. You start to wonder if you'll ever feel warm again. By the time spring returns, you've survived your first year, but barely. You're bigger now, but so is everyone else, and you're still at the bottom of the hierarchy. The new pups arrive, and they take your place in the pack. Your mom is too busy with them to care about you anymore. The adults push you aside when food is scarce, and you're left with nothing most days. Your dad, the alpha, starts to see you as a threat. You're not much of one, but he doesn't take chances. Every time you try to eat, he shoves you back. Every time you get too close to the new pups, he growls. It's not subtle. You're not wanted here. One day, the pack moves without you. You watch them disappear into the distance and realize they're not coming back. You're on your own now. At first, being on your own feels liberating. There's no more growling in your direction, no more shoving for scraps. You wander the tundra, following your instincts, surviving on whatever you can catch or scavenge. It's hard, but you're built for this. Hares are your usual target. They're small and fast, but you're faster now. Days turn into weeks, and you find your rhythm. You move constantly, hunting, resting, and keeping your distance from larger predators. Every now and then, you cross into the territory of another pack. Sometimes you catch their scent and steer clear. Other times, you come face to face with them. When that happens, you lower your head and back away. A fight isn't worth it. Not yet. You keep moving, covering miles of frozen ground, your nose always to the wind. You're not looking for anything in particular, but the Arctic has a way of surprising you. One day, while traveling across an open plain, you catch a scent on the wind. It's not food. It's not a rival pack. It's another wolf, a lone female. You follow the trail cautiously, your ears up, your steps quiet. Eventually, you see her in the distance. She's like you, thin, cautious, and alone. You approach slowly, careful not to seem like a threat. She doesn't run, and that's a good sign. The two of you circle each other, sniffing, sizing each other up. Neither of you has much to offer, just survival skills and the stubbornness that's kept you alive this long. It's not a romantic story, but out here that doesn't matter. You're both alone, and the Arctic is a lot easier to face with someone by your side. You start traveling together. At first, it's awkward. Two wolves used to being on their own, but over time you learn how to work as a team. Hunting becomes easier with the two of you. You take down larger prey, sharing the kills and eating more than you've eaten in months. You take turns watching for predators while the other sleeps. Slowly, you stop feeling like a lone wolf. As the seasons pass, the two of you settle into a routine. You wander the tundra together, hunting, resting, and marking a small territory of your own. Then one spring, everything changes. Your mate gives birth to 3 pups in a den she dug out in the snow while you were out hunting. The responsibility feels heavy, but it also feels right. You teach the pups how to walk, how to play, and eventually how to hunt. You lead them across the tundra, showing them where to find food and how to survive. It's hard work, but it's worth it. Your little pack is growing stronger every day. Life as the leader of your pack is relentless. Every day is a struggle to find food, protect your territory, and keep your pups alive. You hunt tirelessly, leading the charge against caribou, chasing down hares, and scavenging whatever you can to feed your family. Your mate helps, and the pups are growing stronger, but the weight of responsibility falls on you. You push yourself harder than ever because you have no choice. One day, while hunting, things go wrong. You're chasing a caribou, pushing through deep snow, when it kicks out and catches your leg with its hoof. The pain shoots through you, sharp and sudden, but you finish the hunt anyway. The pack eats, and for a moment, the injury doesn't seem like much. Just a scratch, you think. It's nothing compared to the challenges you've faced before. But days later, the pain hasn't gone away. In fact, it's worse. Your leg swells, and every step feels like fire. You start limping, falling behind your pack more often. The pups, who once looked up to you, don't understand why you're slower now. You still try to hunt, but the infection spreads. It's in your bloodstream now, and you can feel it sapping your strength. You stop eating, you stop moving. You lie down in the snow, far from the pack. They don't wait for you. They can't afford to. You don't blame them. You know how this works. You've seen it before. This is just the way of things in the Arctic. The infection takes hold, and the cold sinks into your bones. Your breaths become slower, shallower, until they stop altogether. There's no ceremony. You die the same way you lived, alone in the vast, unrelenting wilderness. The Arctic doesn't notice. The Arctic doesn't care. It just keeps going, and so will your pack. Hunting, surviving, and carrying on without you. The cycle continues. The Arctic always wins. That was the Arctic wolf. Next is the coyote. You are born blind in a shallow dirt den, quickly learning that you are despised by almost every larger predator in the wild, forcing you into a constant state of paranoia to avoid being shredded by wolves and bears. You're born in a hole in the ground that your mom and dad dug out together. They did a solid job, hidden, sheltered, and far away from anything that might want to eat you. You're part of a litter of 4 pups, all equally blind, deaf, and frankly, not very useful. For the first 2 weeks, your mom is your entire world. She looks after you, cleans you, and guards you while your dad hunts and patrols the area. This all happens while you just sleep and eat all day. The only action is the occasional fight with your siblings when someone takes the best spot at feeding time. But let's look at the positives here. You're growing fast, and soon enough, things will start to get interesting. At 3 weeks old, Mom decides it's time for you to see the world. She nudges you out of the den, and you walk forward, your legs barely cooperating. Your siblings tumble after you, all of you tripping over each other in the process. Mom keeps a sharp eye on you, staying just close enough to bark softly whenever someone strays too far. One sibling ignores her and tries to wander off. Mom steps in, picks them up by the scruff, and drops them back with the rest of you. You all explore, sniffing everything in sight. One sibling pounces on a leaf. Another accidentally flips onto their back trying to scratch an itch. Then you find a bug. It twitches, and that's it. Game on. Everyone takes turns chasing it, swatting it, and eventually tasting it. It did not taste that good. After a while, Mom nudges you all back toward the den. Someone resists, and she gives them a stern shove. Back inside, you collapse, too tired to do anything else. At 6 weeks old, the milk bar is officially closed. Mom and Dad start bringing back real food to the den. One day it's a mouse, the next it's a bird, and occasionally a chunk of something bigger they've caught. They drop it in front of you, but let's be honest, you and your siblings have no idea what to do with it. You sniff it cautiously. One sibling pokes it with a paw. Another tries to bite it, only to spit it back out immediately. Eventually, someone figures out which end is edible, and chaos erupts as everyone dives in at once. Sometimes, Mom tears the food into smaller pieces, making it easier to eat. Other times, she doesn't bother, leaving you to work it out yourselves. This is your first lesson in survival. Food doesn't come easy, and if you want your share, you'd better act fast. By the end of the week, you've stopped treating food like it's a puzzle and started devouring it as soon as it hits the ground. At 3 months old, it's time for your first hunting trip. Mom and Dad lead the way, and you and your siblings follow close behind. You're not here to hunt yet, you're here to watch and learn. When you reach the hunting grounds, Mom signals for you to stop. You watch as she focuses on a squirrel that's sitting at the base of a tree. Your dad circles around, moving quietly through the grass. You're frozen in place as he walks closer, every step perfectly calculated. Then in a flash, he jumps at the squirrel. The squirrel bolts for the tree, but Dad is faster, pinning it to the ground just before it escapes. Mom signals you and your siblings to come closer. You cautiously approach the catch, sniffing it and nudging it with your nose. It's the first time you've been this close to live prey, and it's both exciting and overwhelming. Mom doesn't let you eat yet. Instead, she demonstrates how to handle it. She grips the squirrel in her jaws and shakes it just to make sure that it's completely still. Then she begins to break it apart, showing you the most efficient way to get to the good bits. You watch closely, taking mental notes. But the real test comes next. Mom spots another squirrel further away and leads you to a better position. This time she drops back and lets you and your siblings try. You crouch low, trying your best to stay quiet. When your sibling that's behind you accidentally makes a sound, the squirrel bolts up the tree before anyone even gets close. Mom doesn't look impressed, but she doesn't give up on you either. She leads you to a different spot. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. You didn't catch anything, but you're starting to understand how it's done. For now, you're just the apprentice, but one day, you'll be the one leading the hunt. That's if you survive. At 6 months old, life with the family starts to feel different. The food Mom and Dad bring back doesn't seem to stretch as far as it used to. You've been going to sleep hungry more often than not, and the fights with your siblings over scraps are getting more intense. Mom and Dad seem tense too. They've started snapping at you when you get too close during mealtime. It's not personal, it's just survival. The area around the den isn't exactly brimming with food anymore, and with so many mouths to feed, the strain is showing. One day, after another night of feeling like your stomach is eating itself, you realize what needs to happen. You've outgrown the den, the pack, and this patch of land. It's time to leave. You don't make a big deal out of it. One morning, you just start walking. You head away from the den, following trails you've never taken before. The first few days on your own are rough. You've got no backup now, and hunting solo is a whole different challenge. You miss more prey than you catch, and the hunger that drove you to leave your family hasn't gone away. It's just you now. No mom to bring food, no siblings to fight for scraps. Still, you keep moving. You've learned enough to know that staying in one place won't help. You follow the wind, sniffing out new trails and new opportunities. Sometimes you find something like a field mouse or a discarded sandwich, but that's not quite enough. A few weeks into your solo life, you're starting to get the hang of hunting. You've managed to catch a few squirrels and even snagged a vole. But the effort it takes compared to the reward isn't exactly a winning formula. Then one day, you stumble across an unlikely ally, a badger. You're following the scent of something small and edible when you see it. You freeze, watching it closely. Normally, you'd steer clear because badgers aren't exactly known for their charm, and they've got sharp claws to back up their temper. But this one doesn't seem interested in you. You notice something interesting. As the badger digs the ground, small animals run out of nearby holes trying to escape. That's when everything clicks. The badger's doing all the hard work, and you could be the one to reap the benefits. You cautiously get closer to the badger. At first, it doesn't seem thrilled to see you. It looks your way, snorts, and goes back to digging. You hang back, watching from a safe distance. Then, as a ground squirrel bolts out of the hole, you pounce. Your timing is perfect. You've got it. The badger looks at you again, this time with less annoyance and more acceptance. It doesn't chase you off, and you take that as permission to stick around. Over the next few hours, you and your new digging buddy work as a team. The badger digs, and you stay alert, ready to catch anything that tries to flee. It's a surprisingly effective partnership. Badgers are experts at flushing out burrowing prey, and you're fast enough to catch whatever escapes. By the end of the day, you've had your fill for the first time in what feels like forever. By the time winter comes, you're ready to find a partner. Coyotes pair up for life, so this isn't just about finding someone to hang out with. It's about survival. You howl, and for a while there's nothing. Just the wind and the sound of your own paws crunching in the snow. Then finally, a reply. It's very far away, but it's enough to spark hope. You follow the sound, running through the bushes until you find her. She's wary at first, circling you and keeping her distance. You do the same, sniffing the air and keeping your posture low, trying to show that you're not a threat. The first meeting is brief. She watches you for a moment longer, before turning and running back into the shadows. You don't follow her. This isn't something that happens overnight. Over the next few days, you keep crossing paths. One day, she lets you get close enough to share a meal, tearing apart the scraps of a deer carcass together. After that, the partnership starts to take shape. You hunt near each other and move together everywhere you go. One evening, after a long day of patrolling and hunting, you lie down together in a patch of grass. Then, unnoticed by you, something small crawls onto your fur. A tick. It finds a spot on your leg, latches on, and takes its fill. You don't feel a thing. Not yet, anyway. After some time, a patch of fur on your back begins to thin. At first, you don't think much of it. You've scratched before. Ticks, fleas, but this is different. Over the weeks, the itch gets worse. You lose more fur. Your skin starts to show through, red and irritated. The cold nights hit harder now, and every hunt feels just a little more exhausting. You've got mange. It doesn't kill you outright, but it weakens you. You're slower, hungrier, and more vulnerable. Still, you keep going because you have to. Your partner sticks by your side, though even she seems to give you a little extra space now and then. You don't blame her. One day you're out hunting together. It's been a tough winter, and food is scarce. You spot a deer far in the distance, and instinct kicks in. You crouch and move quietly. Your partner circles around, her movements as sharp and practiced as ever. Just as you get closer, a loud crack echoes through the air. She drops instantly, crumpling into the snow. You freeze and look toward the source of the noise, a human with a rifle. You don't think, you run. Your paws slip on the snow as you bolt into the trees, the sound of your breath drowning out everything else. You don't stop running, not until you're far away, too far to smell her scent or hear another shot. Your mind is racing. She's gone, just like that. In your panic, you don't notice the road ahead. A flash of headlights, a screech of tires, then nothing. Coyotes rarely live long lives in the wild. For most, death comes in 3 ways. The most common? Cars. Roads carve through their territories, and even the sharpest instincts can't always save them from speeding headlights. The second? Humans with guns. Coyotes are hunted and trapped across the country, often seen as pests rather than survivors. And finally, disease. Mange, rabies, and other illnesses weaken even the toughest coyotes, making survival harder with every passing day. You were no exception. You lived fast, fought hard, and adapted to every challenge. But in the end, the odds caught up to you. That was the coyote. Finally, meet the capybara, where you are born into a brutal wetland, acting as a walking buffet for the jungle, constantly hunted by jaguars, massive anacondas, and caimans from the very second you take your first step. You're slide out of your mother somewhere in South America. Other newborns pile on top of you as your mom gives birth to 3 more. Around you, the rest of the females are doing the exact same thing. Your species evolved to give birth all at once. You crawl out from beneath the bodies, with your legs already strong enough to hold you. Nearby, one of your siblings is already getting fed, so you push into the nearest female capybara, hoping for milk. But she turns sharply and knocks you aside into the mud. You pick yourself up, and this time, find your real mother. She stands quietly as you approach, letting you fill your stomach. Then suddenly, the adults start moving. They head quickly toward the pond, so you follow. You try to stay close, but your legs are too short and you can't keep up. You slip into a soft patch of mud, with your front legs sinking down until you can't move. Your mother notices and comes back. She lowers her head under your chest, lifting you free from the mud. She carries you down to the pond's edge and sets you gently into the shallow water. As you float there, something large rises beneath you. A crocodile slowly breaks the surface. You stop moving, but your mother doesn't react. She just watches. The crocodile doesn't attack. Instead, it drifts silently for a moment, then goes under you and lifts your body while you sit on its head. It swims forward onto the dirt and you jump off. Then it goes back and disappears into the water. Crocodiles aren't always dangerous. Sometimes they're just passing through, and you're lucky enough to catch a ride. But you don't want to be there when one decides it's hungry. You're 3 weeks old now, and most of your day is spent floating. A white bird lands on your back. It moves slowly, pecking at your fur. It's not here to hurt you. It's eating ticks and flies. These birds follow capybaras for food, and your kind lets them stay. 2 other young capybaras swim over. They're the same age as you. One bumps into your side, then kicks off and spins around. He's trying to start a game, so you chase after him. You lunge forward, kicking hard with your front legs, then twist away before they can hit you. You take turns pushing and shoving, testing how fast and how strong each of you is. The bird lifts off and flies away as the game gets louder. This kind of play has a purpose. It teaches you the basics of how to move and dodge in case any predators attack. But then, something else moves in the water. An otter bursts from the water and clamps down on your friend's leg. It shakes violently, dragging him sideways. Otters are predators, but they're also territorial. Your friend kicks hard, and the otter lets go for a second, then snaps again and bites higher up near the ribs. Then, when it finally had enough, it lets go and disappears. You stay still, holding your breath, because moving now would only make things worse. Your friend limps out of the water, leaving a trail in the mud. You follow behind him quietly. The bird comes back, lands beside him, and starts picking at the blood on his fur. Tomorrow, you'll follow the group uphill to find new grass. But for now, you just lie there watching and hoping the otter doesn't come back. Skip forward a bit, and you're 2 months old now. The pond is smaller now. Its edges are cracked, and the grass around it is non-existent. Most of the good plants are gone, except for one patch up the hill past the muddy slope. You spot it early and start walking. The slope is slippery, but you climb anyway. Then, a larger juvenile blocks the top. He turns toward you, lowers his head, and takes a step forward. He doesn't want to share. But you don't stop. You shove into his chest and keep moving. He pushes back, holding his spot. But you're not small anymore. You press harder with your back legs, digging into the mud. His foot slips, and he stumbles sideways, just enough to let you pass. You reach the patch alone. The grass is fresh, so you graze for a while, and then look back down the hill. You chirp once. The others hear it. Within minutes, a line of capybaras is climbing toward you. As they arrive, the juvenile you pushed tries to squeeze into your spot. You turn toward him and plant your feet. He pauses. Then he moves to the side and eats somewhere else. After you've eaten your fill, you squat and poop. Then you turn, lower your head, and eat it. You've seen the adults do this before. You didn't know why until now. Your gut isn't fully developed yet. It needs the bacteria you just passed. That's how your stomach learns to break down the tough stems and roots you'll rely on as you grow. That evening, your group settles on the hill. You lie down beside two others. The juvenile you challenged stays nearby, but doesn't come close. You don't know if he'll try again tomorrow, but if he does, you'll be ready. You're 6 months old now, walking along the edge of the pond, searching for new shoots poking out of the dirt. Most of the grass near the water is gone, so you wander farther than usual. A patch of dry leaves looks soft enough to stand on, so you step forward. But as soon as you do, the ground starts moving. Tiny red bodies pour out from underneath. You freeze for half a second, then the biting starts. They cover your legs, your belly, and your neck. You squeal and jump, shaking your limbs trying to kick them off, but it doesn't work. Their jaws clamp down and don't let go. You bolt straight into the water, dragging the swarm with you. You dunk your entire body under, blowing bubbles through your nose. You come up once for air, then dive again, rubbing your head against the mud at the bottom. It helps, but it's not enough. The ants are still clinging to the softer parts of your skin. You stay in the water until your body stops twitching, and that's when the ants finally let go. When you crawl back out, you see movement across the pond. A coati is digging at the same pile of leaves. Its snout pushes into the mound and pulls out a chunk of soil covered in ants and eggs. It eats them quickly, flicking its tongue and chewing fast. You stare from the bank, still dripping. The coati doesn't care that you just got swarmed. It just wants breakfast. Fire ants don't belong here, but they're everywhere now. Capybaras like you don't fight them. You just run to the water and hope it's deep enough. Skip forward a bit, and you're 1 year old now. Bigger, heavier, and no longer treated like a baby. You still walk near your mother, but she doesn't look back as often. When you chirp, the others don't respond. You eat with them. You sleep with them. But something's different now. You're old enough to leave. One morning, you don't follow the group. You walk the other way toward a log covered in moss. You graze there alone until sunset, then go to sleep beside it. No one joins you, and no one comes looking either. The next day, you try to form something new. You nudge 2 juveniles to follow you. One does for a while. But by midday, he's gone. He went back to the group. So you stand by the riverbank, unsure what to do next. That evening, you rub your snout against a tall patch of reeds, leaving your scent behind. You wait in the shallows, watching the trail, but no one appears. On the 3rd day, you walk farther downstream and see a different group. There aren't that many of them. A few females lie stretched out on the bank, and 2 juveniles graze nearby. One big male stands near the edge of the water, chewing slowly. He's twice your size, with thick shoulders and half-torn ears. Every part of him says, "Don't try it," so you don't. You stop just out of view, then lower your head and step into the water, just enough to let the current drift you past them. You angle your body away and start grazing like this was your plan all along. The big male lifts his head once, watching you for a moment, then goes back to chewing. He doesn't chase you off, so you stay. You're 2 years old, and you've been living with your new group for a year now. You're walking beside the dominant male, keeping just behind his shoulder as he steps through the mud and stops to graze at a patch of fresh grass. You lower your head and feed too, keeping your movements small so you don't draw attention. He starts moving again, and you follow without thinking. You're focused on the path, being kind of a beta male. Then the male suddenly slows down, lifting his head and freezing in place. Before you understand what's happening, a puma explodes from the bushes. Its paws hit the dirt in a full sprint, aimed straight at both of you. You're too close to run. It will catch whichever one of you falls behind. So you lower your head and ram the male in the ribs, pushing your full weight into him. He stumbles sideways and lands on his back. The puma leaps mid-stride and crashes into him just as he starts getting up. It starts ripping him apart, tearing his neck, which disables him instantly. You turn and run. You don't look back. You throw yourself into the river, kicking hard through the shallow water and pulling yourself onto the far bank before you stop moving. You stay there for hours, hidden under a random tree, until the sun starts to drop and the others come looking. That evening, you return to the group alone. The dominant male is dead. No one challenges you, and no one even looks at you for long. You take his place, his spot near the food, his position near the females, and control over the rest. You're not a follower anymore. You're in charge now. Skip forward, and you're 4 years old now. The river's drying up again, but there's a warm spring tucked between the rocks where the water stays clear. You've claimed it. No other males come near, because they know it's yours. Most mornings, you soak here alone. But today, a female enters the water nearby. She doesn't look at you. She just settles in and floats. You stay where you are, pretending not to notice. Then you climb out, shaking water from your fur, and start circling around her. It's not the first time you've seen this happen. You've watched older males do it. But she ignores you. So you keep walking in big circles, just like you've seen. She stands and moves the opposite way. It's working. She walks faster, so you follow, but you move too quickly, splashing through the water and closing the gap too soon. She turns into the grass and stands at the edge, just watching. You stop and lower your head to eat from a clump of weeds, chewing slowly while facing away from her. After a while, she circles back. This time she walks right past you. You turn and follow, keeping your steps steady and staying behind her. She slows down and lets you get closer. You move to her side and climb on top, planting your front feet behind her shoulders. It lasts a few seconds, then she steps away and walks back into the spring, lowering herself into the water. You follow and lie beside her. Now you understand how it works. You don't need to fight or push others aside. You just need to move the right way at the right time. You're 5 years old now. You walk at the edge of the forest where the fruit trees grow. A mango drops nearby and rolls past your feet. You bite once, then again, sweet juice filling your mouth as you chew. The skin tears easily. You swallow half before the other capybaras even notice it fell. 2 females and a younger male are close by, all focused on their own fruit. A few more drop around you, bouncing off branches and landing in the leaves. One of them rolls farther, slipping into the bush. You step after it without thinking, still chewing the last bite. Then something yanks your leg sideways. A wire closes tight around your ankle, jerking you off balance and slamming your body into the ground. You try to push up, but your leg stays pinned. The wire's too strong. You twist hard and kick, dragging yourself in a half circle through the dirt. But it doesn't loosen. You struggle harder, digging your teeth into vines, ripping at the bush that hides the anchor, but nothing breaks. The snare holds your leg out at the wrong angle, and the more you pull, the deeper it cuts. The others are already gone. When the wire snapped shut, they ran without even taking a look at you. You stop moving. The blood around your ankle thickens in the dirt. Then flies start landing on your back and stay there. Eventually, the sound of footsteps comes through the trees. One man walks toward you, holding a coil of rope in one hand and a machete in the other. He crouches, checks the snare, then grabs your leg and pulls you free. You don't resist. You're not awake for most of what comes next. He carries you by the legs, ties you to a pole, and slings it over his shoulder. Back at camp, the work is quick. He skins your body and lays the hide out to dry. The meat is set aside. Weeks later, part of you is wrapped around someone's waist, stitched into a belt.